unconstitutional. Some members of parliament had claimed these ballots were particularly vulnerable to fraud. This part of the ruling is very good for Iraq's Sunni Arab minority, as they are the most heavily displaced population within Iraq, and having all those votes thrown out would have cut into their already limited representation in parliament. The recount will further delay the final certification of the vote results, which saw cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's bloc winning the largest plurality. Sadr was in the process of trying to come up with a majority coalition and now is likely to be stuck waiting for a long, arduous recount just in case it changes a seat or two somewhere. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Thursday to allow states to force online retailers to collect a sales tax, breaking the 50 years' worth of previous rulings. In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled in favor of the state of South Dakota, which asked the court to uphold a new law imposing an internet sales tax. South Dakota argued that an explosion in online sales changed the market and passed a law 2 years ago requiring all but the smallest retailers to collect tax on sales they made in the state, even if they have no physical presence there. Internet companies argued applying a sales tax would be a daunting task, as local tax laws vary widely by state. Justice Anthony Kennedy, writing for the majority, was joined by Justices Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. Kennedy argued physical businesses were put at a disadvantage because they were forced to charge a sales tax while online businesses did not, noting the rule prevented market participants from competing on an even playing field. Kennedy wrote, "Each year, the physical presence rule becomes further removed from economic reality and results in significant revenue losses to the states." Chief Justice John Roberts, writing in dissent with Justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, said the decision disregards the cost a sales tax would impose on online retailers, a process that could be baffling for internet sellers. Roberts wrote, "The burden will fall disproportionately on small businesses. One vitalizing effect of the internet has been connecting small, even micro businesses to potential buyers across the nation." Adding, "People starting a business selling their embroidered pillowcases or carved decoys can offer their wares throughout the country, but probably not if they have to figure out the tax due on every sale." Roberts said the decision should be left to Congress, as they have more flexibility to address the issue. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports First Lady Melania Trump's visit on Thursday to a Texas shelter housing migrant children separated from their parents was overshadowed by a jacket she wore with the words, "I really don't care. Do you?" scrawled in white brushstrokes on the back. Melania Trump was shown in photos wearing the hooded green khaki jacket as she boarded a flight from Andrews Air Force Base to the border facility in McAllen, Texas. She had it on again when she left the aircraft upon returning to Washington, D.C. later in the evening. Stephanie Grisham, Melania Trump's spokeswoman, told reporters, "It's a jacket. There was no hidden message." Defending his wife's choice of jacket, Trump blamed the media, tweeting, "I really don't care, do you?" written on the back of Melania's jacket refers to the fake news media. Melania has learned how dishonest they are, and she truly no longer cares. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Retail giant CVS is gearing up for floods of customers seeking the perfect meaningless piece of crap for their office gift swap. The company is making no secret that when it comes to wasting the obligatory $20 on a useless electronic dartboard or pretzel maker for someone you couldn't care less about, CVS is your best option.
Our incredible selection of worthless is just the thing that nobody wants. We guarantee you'll find nothing personal or unique in our store.
The company is offering massive discounts on otherwise unsellable items for holiday parties you don't even want to go to, like the $12 decorative lantern, which is expected to be a big hit with customers who grab the first thing they see when they walk in the store.
I really wanted to get something that said, I don't care about any of you people and I didn't put any effort into this.
CVS also has Hanukkah gifts for coworkers who you think might be Jewish, like candles and those little plastic net bags full of chocolate money.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here on the radio waves. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's 855-450-3733, and we've got Skype as well. You can Skype in to join us at Skype username LRN.FM. Plus, you can join us on the Discord on-air call-in line room over on our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm. And joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Coming up, we can talk about the story I mentioned while we were at Forkfest, the Uruguay story about their legalization of cannabis as the first nation to do such a thing. We had discussed Canada in some detail since they
a couple nights ago.
Right, since they're on the cusp of that. So I've got that story, but Darryl, you've got some breaking news out of the Supreme Court, and it sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And this story actually comes from the ACLU, where last night we talked about a bad ruling out of the Supreme Court.
What was that? I wasn't here for last night's show.
Supreme Court ruled that states can force businesses to collect sales tax even if they have no physical presence.
Oh, no. No, meaning that Amazon would be forced by states in which they don't have any kind of nexus to collect sales tax.
Right,
for those
nexus
states?
is some kind of legal term that I first heard from Chris Wade, who's normally here on Fridays.
He's up at Porkfest still.
Right. The case originated out of South Dakota, where we talked about the case somewhat when the oral arguments happened, where state of South Dakota wound up passing a thing claiming we're losing a bunch of revenue because of online retailers. So anybody that has 200 deliveries into South Dakota or a certain dollar amount is then required to collect sales tax.
Yeah.
And this says, yeah, any state can wind up doing that, which opens the door to forcing online businesses, not just Amazon, but much smaller online businesses, to possibly comply with somewhere upwards of about 40,000 different tax laws.
Right, because they would have to comply with all the municipality tax laws as well, or county tax,
and it's
sales
not
tax.
just that. And we talked about some of this last night, to where in some states clothes are taxed, in other places they're not. In some places all food is taxed. In other places it's only things that
Prepared
are deemed
food.
prepared food or candy.
In some places you get a tax holiday once a year for like a week or a weekend. Where
but that only applies to certain things. It's not everything.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to be a big, giant cluster. But finally, some good news.
Okay.
And there are still a few...
By the way, before you go on with the good news, I did get an email from eBay today asking for people to contact their Congress people about this Supreme Court ruling, the bad one that you're talking about with the sales tax, asking for Congress to do something about it, like pass some sort of law to override that decision. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, there are still a few, somewhat major cases, if you will, that the Supreme Court has not yet ruled on. That has to happen by the end of June. So expect some rulings on partisan gerrymandering, whether that will be continue to be allowed or if the Supreme Court will say that that's not allowed. But the case here... Again, ACLU says that this is a groundbreaking privacy victory. The Supreme Court on Friday handed down what is arguably the most consequential privacy decision of the digital age, ruling that police do need a warrant before they can seize someone's sensitive location information stored by cell phone companies.
Really?
The case specifically concerns the privacy of cell phone location data, but the ruling has broad implications for government access to all manner of information collected about people and stored by the purveyors of popular technology. In its decision, the court rejected the government's expansive argument that people lose their privacy merely by using technology. And this is a case that I know the Ross Ulbricht defense team had been looking at very closely because of the broad implications here and some of the techniques, shall we say, that may or may not have been used by the FBI in finding the server for the Silk Road. So, yeah, maybe this will wind up encouraging the Supreme Court to go ahead and take the Ulbricht case. They've not yet rejected the case.
Okay, but the court can only, and I'm not an attorney, but my understanding is Supreme Courts and appeals courts can only rule on errors of law made during the initial trial. So I don't know if they would be able to take under advisement the new ruling that they made and apply that retroactively to a case already decided.
Certainly they can.
Okay. All right.
You made a mistake. You didn't realize at the time it was a mistake, but we've since determined it was a mistake. You couldn't do that, so therefore rejected.
All right.
Continuing on here, and again, that's just one possibility, and that's some wishful thinking thrown in there. But I do remember this case being mentioned in one of the emails not too long ago from the Ulbricht team. It's one of the public emails. I'm not on some kind of private list or anything. Article again from the ACLU continuing. Carpenter v. United States, which was argued by the ACLU, involves Timothy Carpenter, who was convicted in 2013 of a string of burglaries in Detroit. To tie Carpenter to the burglaries, FBI agents obtained, without a warrant, months' worth of his location information from his cell phone provider. They got almost 13,000 data points tracking his whereabouts during that period, revealing where he slept, when he attended church, and much more. Indeed, as Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in Friday's decision, quote, when the government tracks the location of a cell phone, it achieves near-perfect surveillance, as if it had attached an ankle monitor to the phone's user.
Yeah.
The ACLU argued the agents had violated Carpenter's Fourth Amendment rights when they obtained such detailed records without a warrant based on probable cause. In a decision written by, again, Chief Justice John Roberts, the Supreme Court agreed, recognizing that the Fourth Amendment must apply to records of such unprecedented breadth and sensitivity. Quote, mapping a cell phone's location over the course of 127 days provides an all-encompassing record of the holder's whereabouts. As with GPS information, the timestamp data provides an intimate window into a person's life, revealing not only his particular movements, but through this, his familial, political, professional, religious, and sexual associations. The government's arguments that it needed no warrant for these records extends far beyond cell phone location information to any data generated by modern technology and held by private companies, rather than in your own home or pocket.
So what's not clear to me here, and again, I'm completely new to this case, in a lot of cases, the police will just send a letter to a company, and the company will obediently provide. Is the Supreme Court saying they have to have a warrant just to simply request something from a company? Like, if the company wants to provide information on one of its clients, shouldn't that be its purview to be able to do that? It's their information. They're the ones who collected it. Unless they've, unless part of the terms of service.
Your information that they are holding.
Sure, but you agreed to their cell phone service, which includes data tracking of where you're located. They have to know where you're located.
They acknowledge, the cell phone companies acknowledge, it is your data.
Okay.
The government was arguing, no, it's not Mr. Carpenter's data. It's not Ian Freeman's data. The cell phone companies own this data, and we're just requesting, and they're giving. The Supreme Court says you need a warrant to get data like this.
I'm really surprised by that.
To continue on to make their case, government lawyers relied on an outdated 1970s-era legal doctrine that says that once someone shares information with a third party, as in the Carpenter case, or in this specific case, a cell phone company, that data is no longer protected by the Fourth Amendment. The Supreme Court made abundantly clear that this doctrine has its limits and cannot survive as a carte blanche for the government seizure of any data of its choosing without judicial oversight.
Okay, so go to a judge, get a rubber stamp warrant, and then you're good to go.
Well, you still need to show some kind of probable cause before you get it, but... Yeah, they're at least putting some kind of
a hurdle
here.
Interesting.
It's not a very high hurdle.
It's a surprise, too, I gotta say. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to continue here. I mentioned there's more analysis from the ACLU on this, who took the case and apparently knocked it out of the park. Kudos to them. All right, there's more coming up. 855-450-FREE if you want to join us on the radio to talk about what you want. It's Free Talk Live.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. Tony Wright is a perfect example of the power of DNA. The Innocence Project litigated for almost 6 years to get the court's permission for DNA testing. Tony had been incarcerated for nearly 25 years in Pennsylvania and narrowly escaped the death penalty. Tony's case, sadly, is not unique. Empowered with the unequivocal proof of innocence provided by DNA technology, the Innocence Project has litigated hundreds of wrongful conviction cases, leading to the exoneration and freedom for more than 180 people through DNA testing. Overall, there have been 356 DNA exonerees in the United States who were wrongfully imprisoned for more than 4,875 years in total. You can help support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry in the New York City Marathon by going to run.freetalklive.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial on in here toll free to bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about a recent Supreme Court ruling that sounded like it came out either today or yesterday.
Today.
Pretty fresh. The ACLU commenting on it. It was a case they had taken on.
Yes.
In regards to digital privacy in the internet age, and how much information can be handed over about you without
a warrant.
And according to my understanding so far of this story, which is from where? Is it their blog?
The ACLU.
Okay. My understanding so far, it sounds like basically they're going to need to get a warrant to get any kind of information that a company has gathered upon you.
Yes. That's my understanding of this as well.
Which is a huge shift in what has been acceptable thus far, because, I mean, even I was making the argument that, hey,
it's not your data anymore.
It's not your data. You gave it over to this company.
It's still your data.
Even if it in the terms of service, it says, you know, like in Facebook, right? Like when you sign up with Facebook, it says in their terms of service that they can do whatever they want to do with the stuff you give them. If they want to take your pictures and they want to use that as part of a Facebook marketing plan to show how great Facebook is or whatever, they can use what was your content in whatever way they want to, because they claim some level of control over it.
That's a very broad interpretation of what it said. It does mention about sharing information with third parties. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean we can do whatever we want. It's within the scopes of, fill in the blank, an existing law, this, that, and the other thing. And the Supreme Court is saying that while yes, you have, handed over some of your data, it is still under the eyes of the law. It is still your data. The government still needs a warrant to obtain your data.
It's almost mind-bogglingly unbelievable that they would rule in this way. I'm really surprised.
I know, especially, and again, the government in the case here was arguing, well, there's this law that was passed, or a legal doctrine established in the 1970s that says that whenever somebody hands over data to a third party, it's no longer their data. But, well, nope. The court here says, got to change. The decision in part continues. There's a world of difference between the limited type of personal information addressed by the 1970s doctrine and the exhaustive chronicle of location information casually collected by wireless carriers today. Back then, few could have imagined a society in which a phone goes wherever the owner goes, conveying to a wireless carrier not just the dialed digits, but a detailed and comprehensive record of the person's movements. Mm-hmm. If the government had their way, and this no longer from the ruling, from the ACLU blog, if the government had its way, virtually none of your sensitive information held by tech companies would enjoy the privacy rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Consider the consequences of that argument. Google and Facebook store some of your photographs and messages. Many of us own smart devices like an Amazon Echo, which knows your musical taste, shopping history, and even the contents of intimate conversations.
Right.
And your health and fitness apps know about your physical activity and your sleep patterns. These examples barely scratch the surface when it comes to the information amassed by the websites, apps, and other internet-connected devices that we rely on for convenience. The government wants easy access to all of that.
Of course they do.
While the decision extends in the immediate term only to historical cell phone location data, the Supreme Court's reasoning opens the door to the protection of the many other kinds of data generated by popular technology. Today's decision provides a groundbreaking update to privacy rights that the digital age has rendered vulnerable to abuse by the government's appetite for surveillance. It recognizes that cell phones and the services they provide are such a pervasive and insistent part of the daily life that carrying one is indispensable to participation in modern society. And it helps ensure that we don't have to, and part of that was a quote from the ruling. And it helps to ensure that we don't have to give up those rights if we want to participate in modern life.
Wow. And what was the ruling vote? Do you happen to have that handy? How did they vote on that? Just
I
curious.
do not, but I can pull that up fairly quickly. And I'm curious what SCOTUS blog has to say about this.
While you do that, I did find, since you mentioned Ross Ulbricht, I did find an update on that case.
Yeah.
This was from about a month ago on the news.bitcoin.com blog by Jamie Redman. Ross Ulbricht continues to fight for freedom with Supreme Court petition. Just recently, news.bitcoin.com reported on Ross Ulbricht, who, listeners, if you're not aware, he's the man who created the Silk Road, the world's first underground marketplace on the dark web, and is now paying the price for that by facing a sentence of 2 years, being sentenced to, 2 lifetimes plus 40 years in federal prison, which is where he sits now. So, since February, Ulbricht's new legal team and his family continue to fight for his freedom with a filed petition of certiorari with the United States Supreme Court. Ross William Ulbricht is a 33-year-old American who was convicted of drug trafficking, money laundering, and computer hacking crimes tied to the Silk Road website in 2011. Ulbricht was accused of being the creator of the Silk Road under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts and was arrested in 2013. In 2015, he was convicted of the aforementioned charges and sentenced to life in prison. The family has been fighting for their son's freedom for years due to the fact that there were many investigation discrepancies and government agents who were caught red-handed manipulating the case. However, last year, the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the decision to keep Ulbricht in jail for life. Then this year, Ulbricht's new legal team, Williams & Connolly, tried to extend a fixed 3-year period with a motion called Rule 33. Although the extension was not granted and Judge Forrest denied the motion to extend the time for the Rule 33, the latest petition of certiorari with the U.S. Supreme Court argues 2 very important questions tethered to Ulbricht's case. 1. Whether the warrantless seizure of an individual's internet traffic information without probable cause violates the Fourth Amendment, which it sounds to me like this court would agree that the warrantless seizure of an individual's internet traffic information without probable cause would violate the Fourth Amendment, based on the case you were just telling us about.
Yes.
Whether, also, here's the other question, whether the Sixth Amendment is violated when a judge uses uncharged allegations never brought into trial before a jury to support an excessive sentence. What they're referring to there is the judge using the allegations that Ross Ulbricht was involved in a murder-for-hire plot, or at least one murder-for-hire plot, but yet he was never actually charged with anything like that. She used that in her sentencing decision.
Right, the judge that allegedly rapes penguins.
I haven't heard that allegation, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I heard it on the radio one time.
And then they go on to point out that this case, which was Carpenter, right, the one you were just talking about, could have an effect on the Ross Ulbricht case. Alongside that news, Ulbricht has been relocated from New York to a maximum security penitentiary called USP Florence. The family says this prison is meant for some of the country's most violent offenders, and they don't understand why Ross is being kept there for his life sentence. His mother, Lynn, who spoke this week at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, or is speaking, I'm not sure what day, said,
I saw some photos earlier today.
Okay. Said, quote, despite the horrors of his environment, Ross remains optimistic and strong, characteristically making the best of it. As we hear more about his case, we will definitely keep you in the loop as it develops. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can join us here and comment on privacy in the digital age. Apparently the Supreme Court shoring it up a little bit, maybe a lot, with this decision. More on the way here. 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dylan Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dylan bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dylan bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dylan bottle today at byln.co. That's byln.co.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free. Join us on the radio. You can bring up what you want. We're talking about privacy in the digital age, which according to a recent Supreme Court, as in today, Supreme Court ruling, has actually been shored up a little bit. They've ruled in favor of privacy, meaning that my understanding from the ACLU's blog that you've been sharing with us here, Darryl, is that this ruling means that the government, whichever government we're talking about, federal or local or state, has to get a warrant before they can acquire information collected about you. In this case, it was about cell phone location information from a cell phone company, but the ruling made could be applied to a variety of data that you are giving over to companies of all kinds of internet sorts, digital sorts. And so the suggestion being that whatever the issue is, whatever they're looking for information on, they'll no longer be able to just send a request to that company. They'll no longer be able to just send a letter saying, we are the Department of Police in this town, and we need to have this information about this person. Can you please provide that for us? Because most of these corporations are very obedient, and they will do whatever it is that they are told by the police, even if there isn't a warrant available. And this is saying the police can't even ask now, as I understand it.
Oh, they can ask, but the evidence obtained will not be admissible in court if they don't have a warrant.
Got it.
So they can ask all day long. Mm-hmm. They can collect it all day long, and they'll keep losing in court all day long.
I hope so. Good. That's great news. Even though in this case they, were going after somebody who allegedly was actually stealing from people, right? Like this person was robbing homes in Detroit.
It didn't say if he was robbing homes. It did mention robberies, so it could be robberies of stores.
Oh, sure. He could have put a gun in somebody's back and taken them on the street.
Right. Not a nice guy.
Yeah.
But that's the reason that, we have these protections is because, there are a lot of times that innocent people wind up being arrested and charged with crimes, and all kinds of phony evidence gets created.
Sure. We've seen so many people. You're representing the Innocence Project in the upcoming New York Marathon in November I think, of this year. And they've actually exonerated a couple hundred people at least. On
well over 200 that they have worked on. And then there are a lot of other cases where they've not had the resources to work.
The old saying is, I'd rather see 100 guilty people go free than one innocent person be put in prison. And that's sort of where some of the concepts for the U.S. judicial system came from,
right?
Which many of those have been buried or left behind at this point, sadly. But that's the general gist of why things are that way. Because somebody could look at this case and say, well, you're supporting this criminal. This criminal's he's getting away with it, and because of the privacy decision in this case. And no, I mean nobody wants to see a real criminal get away with something, but the protections that all of us should have from a government gone wild are very, very important, and those protections mean that they should be kept in place for the good of all of the accused, even if that does mean that a few criminals end up going free because of that.
Right.
Do a better job, police, is basically the argument here. Instead of cutting corners, instead of going the easy route, do some real detective work, get a warrant for the, because they may have had enough evidence to get a warrant. They just didn't.
Right. And I always like going to SCOTUS blog on cases like this because they do a very good job of analyzing what the decision was and then breaking it down into terms that people can understand. And this is a fairly lengthy piece from SCOTUS blog. I will post the link on the Facebook and the Twitters, and I'll share it with you. You can put it, I know there's some kind of like chat or forum or somewhere that
it's called the Free Talk Live Forum.
Yeah. So starting at about the middle here, they say that Chief Justice John Roberts characterized the case as involving two potentially conflicting lines of Supreme Court precedent.
It was a 5-4 ruling, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that on the air.
I think I did.
Okay.
I don't recall.
It may have been during a break.
5-4 ruling, right. And let me actually go ahead and name off the sides here. The majority was, again, Chief Justice John Roberts, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan. And then we'll get to the dissenting, where there were actually several dissents from the four people. So there was one dissent signed off by 3 of the justices, another dissent signed off by 2 of them, and then I think 1 or 2 wrote their own dissenting opinion. So there were several dissenting opinions here. But again, Roberts said that there were 2 potentially conflicting lines of Supreme Court precedent. The first involves whether someone like Carpenter can expect to have his whereabouts kept private. Roberts acknowledged that in some of its decisions predating the digital era, the court had ruled that a driver should not expect his movements on public road to be private. But Roberts stressed times have changed. People would not expect police to track their every move over long periods of time, but that is exactly what happens in cell site location records. Indeed, Roberts suggested because people carry their phones virtually everywhere, cell site location records provide the government with near-perfect surveillance, as if you had an ankle monitor attached to your leg. Because where else would you have an ankle monitor? The second line of precedent, Roberts continued, is the third-party doctrine. But this is not exactly, Roberts emphasized, a garden variety request for information from a third party because of the seismic shift in digital technologies that made possible the tracking of not only Carpenter's location, but also everyone else's, not just for a short period of time, but for years.
Yeah.
When the Supreme Court decided the case, established a or rather decides a case establishing the doctrine, it was dealing with the relatively limited types of personal information. No one could have envisioned cell phones would be so ubiquitous and provide so much information from their users for so long.
I remember,
and then part of this is the quote that was already mentioned.
Yeah, I remember that Google revealed that you could access your Google info that they get from if you get like an Android phone or whatever. The GPS tracking information, and I pulled it up just to take a look at it, and sure enough, it showed me all the paths that I'd taken the dog on a walk over the recent days near the house. And yeah, it's disturbing. There's a lot of data out there on you. As long as you're in the internet world, there's just a load of it.
Right. Because of the unique nature of cell site location information, Roberts concluded the third-party doctrine does not apply, and the acquisition of cell site location records was a search within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment, for which the government would generally have to obtain a warrant. Roberts emphasized that the ruling is a narrow one that applies only to historical cell site location records. He took pains to point out that the ruling did not express a view on other privacy issues, such as obtaining cell site location records in real time or getting information about all of the phones that connected to a particular tower at a particular time.
How interesting that he carved out those exceptions. Maybe this isn't as wide-cutting as it was made seem?
I'm not sure, because still, as the ACLU was pointing out,
they're saying the justifications could be applied in other cases.
And then as this would apply to the Ulbricht case, which the Ulbricht team did mention this case, or at least the article mentioned this case in relation to Ulbricht, that was about historical information. It was not about gathering real-time information. It wasn't about gathering information about everybody that has ever connected to a particular tower.
But Ulbricht wasn't about cell phone information, was it?
It was not, but it was still about information that was gathered through something that could not have been envisioned in the 1970s, where some of these exemptions were carved out.
In that case, in the Ulbricht case, what we don't know still is how they found the location of his server. That information did not come out in trial, and it was almost as though the defense was prohibited from even asking about it. I'm not sure what happened there.
Because the officer that wrote up the report on how he found it never took the stand.
Right.
It was introduced, but he never took the stand, so if he's not on the stand, you can't question.
Who was that, Tarball? In that case?
I don't remember.
All right, there's more coming up here on your privacy in the digital age. You're welcome to call in, join us here. And if you care about privacy, you don't have to give us your real name. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. Or call on Skype at username LRN.FM. Also, our Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you. Go to discord.lrn.fm and join us on the radio. It's Free Talk Live. Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, yourself? Then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Here is what one satisfied customer had to say about Heart and Body Extract regarding his angina pain.
I haven't had an angina pain since I've been on it. The Heart Body Extract is just so great. I thank God that I was led to this product that's doing so much for me and that can do so much for other people.
Call to order your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
According to a study released Thursday by the Princeton University Department of Biology, this local 2-year-old woodland chipmunk has crafted a far more secure and dependable plan for the future than 8 out of 10 Americans. Reporters spoke to citizens to get their view on the study.
Clearly, this chipmunk is pretty impressive. I mean, he wakes up every morning and says, I need to collect acorns and berries for the winter. He sets goals for himself and he gets it done.
He has to make a burrow in a tree stump. That's exactly what he does. He doesn't pause and have a snack and lay around for a few hours.
Out of nearly 40 separate interviews with Americans, 33 told reporters they were very impressed by the chipmunk's continued display of foresight, personal responsibility, and pragmatic decision-making when considering his own future.
He's preparing for winter, he's building a home, and he's trying to get enough nutrients to make it throughout the rest of the day. All this while being worried about maybe getting eaten by a wolf or an owl or something. Earlier this week, the electricity went off in my home because I forgot to pay my bill. It's the second time this year.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio and take control of the airwaves here. Toll free, 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Also, we've been talking about privacy in the information age. The Supreme Court making a decision 5-4 this morning that, certainly not a mandate, but it's going to help a little bit in the way of, they're saying police need to get a warrant before they can get information from, say, phone companies about where you've been with your smartphone, which of course is pretty much everywhere you've been, because everybody has their smartphones on them at pretty much every time of the day and the night. And so the Supreme Court ruled that, this is not information that can just be requested. This is private information, and they're backing that privacy decision up. There's more to share here in moments. Also, when it comes to your home and protecting your home, it's actually not a bad idea to have some cameras watching the rooms you really care about, like the Blink Home Security System. You can go to blinkprotect.com/FTL to get yours at 15% off because you're a Free Talk Live listener. And the Blink app makes it super easy wherever you are you can monitor the room you would like live to see what's going on, or just wait until a notice is sent letting you know that some kind of motion activity is happening there, and then you can review that when you want. In fact, one of my Blink notices came in during the Fork Fest over the weekend, and turns out it was just my roommate coming home and going into that room. So all was well. But you can go to blinkprotect.com/FTL and get a little bit of peace of mind from the Blink Home Security System. And it's actually super affordable and really easy to install because it's wireless, so you don't have to deal with any kind of running of wires, drilling holes, pulling wires through walls, all that. Just go to blinkprotect.com/FTL. You'll get 15% off. And Darryl, you had more to share on this case.
Yeah, and I just happened to have been looking at the court ruling as well. And there's a couple interesting things that the ruling mentions that neither the ACLU article nor SCOTUS blog mentioned specifically. And you did mention that this dealt with cell phone site location. And, well, just so happens that on page 3 of the 119-page ruling, well, that 119 pages includes all of the dissenting opinions as well. But it mentions the passive nature of the cell phone tracking, whereas with other types of things, the Facebooks or the Googles, there's some kind of active participation on part of the user.
Right.
The cell phone location
Meaning you choose
is
to upload a video or picture on Facebook.
Right. It says that there's no affirmative act on the user's part beyond powering up the phone.
Right.
The decision is narrow. It does not, and this exact quote here, it does not express a view on matters not before the court, does not disturb the application of Smith and Miller, which are two other cases that are referenced earlier. I don't know what those are. Nor does it call into question conventional surveillance techniques and tools, such as security cameras, does not address other business records that might incidentally reveal location. So if it's something that definitely by the very act of how it collects the data, such as GPS or
like a credit card at a Walmart
or
something, using your card somewhere.
Right. That's... Yeah, so, if it's something that just incidentally reveals the location, then the court's giving that a pass. And also,
well, they're just saying they're not ruling on that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So whatever the current rules are on that, those aren't changing.
So basically,
if
you get caught up in some kind of an investigation that doesn't have to do with cell phone location data, you're going to have to take that all the way to the Supreme Court, too.
Right, and says also does not consider other collection techniques involving foreign affairs or national security. And in this case, there actually was some kind of a court order to get the information, but it was under what's called the Stored Communications Act, which only requires the government to show reasonable grounds for believing that the records might be relevant.
Seems
which
like a
is
low bar.
lower than probable cause.
Right.
So, hey, we think that you might have some information that might help us on something, maybe, possibly, so just give us everything.
Right.
And then, hey, you know what? They actually did have a lot of information that really, really helps. But we didn't know beyond, any kind of
a hunch
that they actually had the information. Now, continuing on with SCOTUS blog, Justice Anthony Kennedy dissented from the ruling in an opinion that was joined by Alito and Clarence Thomas. Kennedy conceded that, quote, the cyber age has vast potential both to expand and restrict individual freedoms in dimensions not contemplated in earlier times, end quote. But he rejected the idea that cell site location information should be treated any differently than any other kind of business records that can be obtained under the third-party doctrine. Carpenter should not have had any expectation of privacy in his records because he does not own or control them. And that's the argument that you were making earlier.
Yep.
And it's holding to the contrary. Kennedy lamented the Supreme Court has disconnected its Fourth Amendment doctrine from its focus on property rights, creating an unprincipled and unworkable line between cell site records on the one hand and financial and telephonic records on the other. As a result, Kennedy posited police can acquire a record of every credit card purchase and phone call a person makes over months or years without upsetting a legitimate expectation of privacy, but they need a warrant to get a week's worth of cell site records in order to determine whether a person was within several hundred city blocks of a crime scene. Alito filed a lengthy
It's
dissent.
a consistent argument.
Right.
So if you're going to require a warrant for one thing, they should require a warrant for all of the things.
I agree.
Yeah.
Alito filed a lengthy dissent joined by Thomas in which he strengthened. So what, just to go back to Kennedy's dissent, what he could have done was filed what's called a concurring opinion saying, hey, I agree with you, but I think you need to go even further.
It's too narrow.
But, see, he doesn't want any. Just give them all the information.
Yeah.
Screw anybody's rights. Fourth Amendment, persons, papers, houses, and effects. Screw it all. Alito filed a lengthy dissent joined by Thomas in which he stressed that, as originally understood, the Fourth Amendment would not have applied at all to the methods of law enforcement officials used to obtain documents. Alito predicted that today's ruling will lead to one of two outcomes, both of which he regards as undesirable. Either the decision will apply broadly to all kinds of documents containing personal information.
Okay, good.
Or the court will have to admit that the ruling is subject to all sorts of qualifications and limitations that have not yet been discovered, creating a crazy quilt of the Fourth Amendment.
Crazy quilt.
Alito suggested that the court should have instead deferred to Congress's judgment in legislation known as the Stored Communications Act that police do not need a warrant in cases like Carpenter's, and he warned ominously that some of the greatest threats to individual privacy may come not from the government, but instead from powerful private companies that collect and sometimes misuse vast quantities of data about the lives of ordinary Americans.
Well, let me say this. I don't consider it a threat at all that companies have information. The worst they can do with that information, besides turn it over to the government, is to market things to you, send you emails you don't want. I mean, there's all kinds of things they can do, but none of those include putting you in a cage.
Right.
And only the government has the ability to do that. So if you don't like a company, add their domain name to the block list. I don't know about you, Darryl, but I get all kinds of crap all the time in my email that I didn't sign up for. And,
spam.
It's annoying, but luckily the marketplace has come up with anti-spam measures
Filter
that help,
to spam.
Right, that help. Most of it gets filtered. If you look at your spam folder, if you got Gmail, for instance, which is a company that collects a vast amount of data on you and uses it to market to where other companies can advertise through their system to you, they do a pretty good job of filtering out spam, so where you don't even see it. Sometimes they mess up and they'll get something that's legitimate and they'll put it into the spam category. But I would say 99% of the time, maybe even 99.9% of the time, it's pretty good.
Alito's dissent continued. If today's decision encourages the public to think that this court can protect them from this looming threat to their privacy, the decision will mislead as well as disrupt.
Well, I hope that people don't think that as a result of this particular case. This isn't a case that's going to increase your privacy from the corporations that you're doing business with. I mean, if you've chosen to enter into terms of service, which, of course, most people don't read, then you can't blame them for not reading it.
Right, they're very lengthy and written in words that people don't understand.
Who's got time for that crap? But basically, you can kind of figure that if you're going to sign up for some company's website or service or whatever it is, you can kind of just count on the fact that they're going to be collecting data on you. And, of course, all of them are going to promise to be very good little boys and girls with that data, but we all know that there's a chance they're going to have poor security on that data. It could get hacked. We know that they could end up selling it or giving it away or whatever. So, if there's information you want to keep secret, if there's information you want to keep private, then the rule number one is you don't give it out in the first place to those companies. There's more coming up here, but again, they can't put you in a cage. At least the companies can. 855 450 free like freedom. Hour 2 next on Free Talk Live.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years. From My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, June 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,269 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,369. Antiwar.com reports Iraq's Supreme Court ruled Thursday that Parliament's order for a full manual recount of all 11 million ballots cast in the May 12th election must go forward. The Electoral Commission had contested this, saying a nationwide recount was not needed. The court did, however, reject a secondary Parliament order that all ballots cast by overseas voters, as well as all ballots cast by internally displaced persons, be thrown out, saying that would be unconstitutional. Some members of Parliament had claimed these ballots were particularly vulnerable to fraud. This part of the ruling is very good for Iraq's Sunni Arab minority, as they are the most heavily displaced population within Iraq, and having all those votes thrown out would have cut into their already limited representation in Parliament. The recount will further delay the final certification of the vote results, which saw cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's bloc winning the largest plurality. Sadr was in the process of trying to come up with a majority coalition, and now is likely to be stuck waiting for a long, arduous recount, just in case it changes a seat or two somewhere. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Thursday to allow states to force online retailers to collect a sales tax, breaking the 50 years' worth of previous rulings. In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled in favor of the state of South Dakota, which asked the court to uphold a new law imposing an internet sales tax. South Dakota argued that an explosion in online sales changed the market and passed a law 2 years ago requiring all but the smallest retailers to collect tax on sales they made in the state, even if they have no physical presence there. Internet companies argued applying a sales tax would be a daunting task, as local tax laws vary widely by state. Justice Anthony Kennedy, writing for the majority, was joined by Justices Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. Kennedy argued physical businesses were put at a disadvantage because they were forced to charge a sales tax while online businesses did not, noting the rule prevented market participants from competing on an even playing field. Kennedy wrote, "Each year, the physical presence rule becomes further removed from economic reality and results in significant revenue losses to the states." Chief Justice John Roberts, writing in dissent with Justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, said the decision disregards the cost a sales tax would impose on online retailers, a process that could be baffling for internet sellers. Roberts wrote, "The burden will fall disproportionately on small businesses. One vitalizing effect of the internet has been connecting small, even micro businesses to potential buyers across the nation." Adding, "People starting a business selling their embroidered pillowcases or carved decoys can offer their wares throughout the country, but probably not if they have to figure out the tax due on every sale." Roberts said the decision should be left to Congress, as they have more flexibility to address the issue. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports First Lady Melania Trump's visit on Thursday to a Texas shelter housing migrant children separated from their parents was overshadowed by a jacket she wore with the words, "I really don't care. Do you?" scrawled in white brushstrokes on the back. Melania Trump was shown in photos wearing the hooded green khaki jacket as she boarded a flight from Andrews Air Force Base to the border facility in McAllen, Texas. She had it on again when she left the aircraft upon returning to Washington, D.C. later in the evening. Stephanie Grisham, Melania Trump's spokeswoman, told reporters, "It's a jacket. There was no hidden message." Defending his wife's choice of jacket, Trump blamed the media, tweeting, "I really don't care, do you?" written on the back of Melania's jacket refers to the fake news media. Melania has learned how dishonest they are, and she truly no longer cares. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following today's press conference in which NASA announced its continuing search for a planet capable of supporting NASA, researcher Dr. Kenneth Heiser sat down with Onion reporters to detail their ongoing mission to find a NASA habitable planet.
Our objective is to find a planet capable of nurturing not just life, but also a sustained interest in the exploration of the cosmos. Such a planet would need to have water and proximity to light and heat, but also life forms with even the vaguest understanding of the importance of astronomical exploration. Ultimately, this would need to be a planet with organisms that have a genuine interest in expanding the limits of their knowledge.
Heiser added that any planet capable of supporting NASA would need to be able to generate a steady stream of financing to meet the agency's $18 billion annual budget.
The important thing is we just need to be patient. There's a limitless number of planets in the universe, and eventually we'll find one with the resources to support our work. We just have to, right?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. You can dial on in here toll free to join us on the radio. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
855-450-FREE. That's our toll-free number for you. That's 855-450-3733. And on the way here tonight, of course, your calls about whatever you want to discuss, if you make them. Also, ours, we've got the Discord on-air call-in line room where you can join us over at discord.lrn.fm. And that is a way for you to, first off, you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners before, during, and after the show in our Discord chats. There's various different rooms with different topics that can be discussed, including one for live Free Talk Live listeners where people are chatting right now. But there's also the top room, which allows you to get on the air with us and sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. And if you were out at the Fork Fest for the last several days, it's ended on Tuesday, but if you were over the weekend at Fork Fest, you would have been able to sit down and actually talk to us in the studio, in our remote studios. We had a good time there, and the video, by the way, that I took of the Border Patrol checkpoint is now online. I talked about it late last week while we were on the campground. The Border Patrol checkpoint, a internal Border Patrol checkpoint in New Hampshire, about 75 miles south of the actual so-called border of Canada, where they were running this checkpoint throughout the weekend. We gathered about 5 activists together into a car together with cameras and went and did the checkpoint, refused to answer their questions. And you can watch the video from that over at freekeen.com. The video is up now as we speak. Once again, that's freekeen.com. It's nice and short because they didn't detain us for very long, and we did not answer their question, which was nice. So you can see that and how that went. Maybe we'll play it on tomorrow night's show since it's an immigration issue, and that's one of those things that is always, it always sparks controversy on a Saturday night. So
yes,
we'll hold that one for tomorrow night. But another story that we touched on last week that we didn't get to was about Uruguay and their cannabis legalization there.
Yeah.
Sort of, they've been overshadowed now, of course, by Canada, and which is a very large country that's legalizing cannabis within the next few months. We talked over the weekend about the variety of approaches that the different Canadian provinces are going to take regarding legalization. But what's going on in Uruguay? Well, maybe it could be a little bit of an instructive situation down there in Uruguay, because if I recall correctly, the situation in Uruguay was that they were going to legalize cannabis, but have the state be the exclusive seller of that cannabis.
Oh, yeah, there's no way that could go wrong.
And if that's going to...
Only seeds and stems.
Well, it's probably not that bad, but it's bad, and we'll tell you what's going wrong here in moments, which you could predict this. But, hello, Canada, because a lot of the Canadian provinces are going to do the same exact thing of having the government be the exclusive retail distributor, and in some provinces, the exclusive distributor, period. Like, not even sourcing from different growers, which is an even worse mistake. Montevideo, according to CBS News, Laura Andrade recently walked out of the pharmacy in Uruguay, cursing loudly because she couldn't buy legal pot. The wine sommelier had taken a bus since pharmacies in her neighborhood don't sell the drug, but a pharmacy employee told her to come back the next day. Quote, "I work. I can't come here every day," she complained. "Today, I'll have to buy it from an illegal dealer. I have no choice. The system is crap. It's useless," she says. Marijuana went on sale in Uruguay last year under a 2013 law that made it the first nation in the world to legalize a pot market, covering the entire chain from plants to purchase. But the country is still working out how to meet demand in its effort to undercut drug traffickers who control the black market. The head of Uruguay's National Drugs Council, Diego Oliveira, told the Associated Press, quote, "The demand is greater than our productive capacity. We have to address that challenge," unquote.
Hold on. I'm still stuck on the end of the last paragraph where it mentioned drug traffickers controlling the black market.
Yes.
The only reason there's a black market is because government has made it illegal for anybody other than the government to sell it.
Correct.
And prior to that, they made it illegal for anyone to sell it.
Yep.
And by definition, a trafficker is someone who, and correct me if I'm off on my definition here, but as I understand it, someone who basically transports and then sells things that are illegal.
Yep, that's pretty much.
Yeah. So they're being redundant and repetitious for no good reason. The only reason there are drug traffickers is because it's illegal. The only reason there's a black market is because it's illegal. So therefore, there would be traffickers in the black market.
And why should anybody be surprised when the government announces that they can't keep up with demand? That at the quote, "The demand is greater than our productive capacity." Yes, the demand is greater than your productive capacity, government, but not the productive capacity of the market in Uruguay if it were actually allowed to act. Because when demand is greater than an existing producer in the marketplace, if it's a relatively free market, when an existing producer is maxed out, when they're selling out a product left and right and they can't increase for whatever reason, they don't have enough capital, though they should because they're selling out a product left and right. They don't have enough capital to reinvest and to expand their operations. That's when a competitor will enter the market because the competitor will see, they'll hear from the customers like, "I can't get any weed. This store down here is sold out every single day." The word's going to get around that this situation needs to be remedied, that there's profit to be made in a business where some business that exists is not able to fulfill the full consumer demand. That means another upstart can come in, swoop in, offer a product at a better price, or even a product at the same price in that case.
Or a lower price, or a higher price. If you're offering a product, if I have a product for sale, and I'm not one of these people that, is going to, whenever there's a natural disaster, go defend price gougers, but if I'm selling something at $1,000 and everybody else has it on their menu or whatever at $5, but they don't actually have any, I'm still making more money because I sold one of the thing.
That's true. So yes, you could enter into a market like this.
In the free market, or a free-ish market, there's something called profit motive. With government, they don't have that.
Exactly. And so the government can see that they're failing. They're failing in this case. I mean, their man here is admitting that they have to address that challenge. But government doesn't have the same incentives as the marketplace to address those challenges. It's like, that's just a bureaucrat saying, we really need to do something about this. It doesn't matter to his job whether or not they do something tomorrow or whether or not they do something in half a year or a year from now about this.
Right.
Because he's still going to be the head of Uruguay's National Drugs Council when it's all said and done. If they fail or if they succeed, pretty much his job is secure.
Right.
Whereas in the marketplace, if you continue to fail, if you're a middle manager or even, a higher level manager, and you continue to fail to achieve the goals set out for your position, well, a company that doesn't want to go out of business is going to either whip you into shape or get you out the door.
Or even if you're the low-level sales guy.
Right.
Like,
if you're not meeting your quotas.
You don't even need to be in management. If you're not doing the thing that you were hired to do,
you got to go.
You go bye-bye.
Because the market, wants service. It wants to service its customers so these companies can stay in business and continue to make profits. Because if they don't service their customers will go elsewhere. But they can't legally go elsewhere in Uruguay. But as the woman said in the store or outside of it, as she pointed out, well, I'm just going to go to an illegal dealer. She knows them. It's not like they just closed up shop overnight and went away because the government legalized weed. As you pointed out, Darryl, the market for the illegal weed dealers is still present in Uruguay because of the government's failure to allow freedom in this area.
I would be willing to wage some amount of money that there's still a black market in Colorado.
Yes.
There's still a black market in Washington,
There definitely
Oregon. We know that there's one still in Maine and Massachusetts because retail hasn't started there. There's probably a black market in Nevada. We know there's one in D.C. because even though it's been legalized, no one can legally purchase it. You can grow it as long as you're not on federal property or within so far of federal property. You can gift someone something, again, as long as the gifting doesn't happen on federal property, which is a large chunk of D.C.
It would be interesting to actually interview a black market dealer in Washington or Oregon just to see, who are your customers? What are the services you're providing? Because presumably there's probably some sort of maximum purchase that you can make at a legal store.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, like an ounce or two or something like that.
I know there's a maximum in Colorado, and I'm guessing there is in the other states as well.
So I suspect those are some of their customers, the people that want more. There's more coming up. Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dinovite.com with just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dinovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dinovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dinovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore. DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free. Join us on the radio if you want. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the failure of monopolies, specifically in this case, government monopoly, which is, of course, the worst kind of monopoly, where monopolies are enforced at the threat of violence. Because if you were to sell marijuana in Uruguay, where it's legal, I'm putting air quotes around that, meaning that you can get it legally through the government-approved channel, which is to say the government is the exclusive distributor of it, but it's still illegal to sell otherwise. Which, of course, means that there is likely a robust black market continuing to operate in Uruguay, which is probably not as robust in states like Colorado and Washington, where, as the article points out from CBS News, that in those states, they actually have a glut of cannabis. There's so much marijuana being produced there that they're having to slash prices because of price competition, because there's too much supply. You know, Ian and Darryl in the studio here tonight. By the way, Bitcoin.com is where you go if you want to learn about cryptocurrency, you want to learn where it all started. Bitcoin, the granddaddy of all cryptos. Go there and get started into that world. It's not too late. You might think to yourself, my God, Bitcoin is so expensive. Well, actually, it's been declining in price throughout the year. It just dropped below $6,000 for one Bitcoin today. Damn. So times are tough for the people that bought at the peak of $19,000 per Bitcoin, but for those who've held on for the ride over all the years, it's still up over where it was a year ago. A year ago it was maybe about $2,000, $3,000. So it's more than double what it was at that time. And that's not to say that it won't still keep going down. We don't know what's going to happen. But if you want to learn the basics, go to Bitcoin.com. You can also buy Bitcoin there. And I have to admit defeat, I think on the air here, Darryl. I found out over this last week, Chris Reitman, our Thursday night co-host, pointed out that somebody has actually forked Bitcoin. You know, there's been dozens of these forks where they'll copy the Bitcoin blockchain and tweak the code a little bit and release their own version of Bitcoin. So now somebody called their fork Bitcoin Core. And so I have to admit that was a pretty smart move.
Ticker symbol BTCC.
Yeah, pretty smart move, because I had been labeling Bitcoin BTC as Bitcoin Core because that's what they had referred to their software, their core software, the full node software, the official Bitcoin software is called Bitcoin Core. And the idea was to differentiate between Bitcoin Core and sort of the original Bitcoin, because the original Bitcoin doesn't really exist anymore in its original form. It doesn't. Now they added this thing called segregated witness to it. They're adding in this thing called the Lightning Network, supposedly, which is supposed to make it so Bitcoin is affordable again. I just spent $2 today to send some Bitcoin. I sent $10 worth of Bitcoin to somebody here in the Keene area because we're doing a giveaway in town. And I spent $2 on top of that to send the $10. So we're right back to almost back to where we were last year at this time, where the prices of these fees on the Bitcoin network were going up. So for me, it was a way of communicating that Bitcoin, as we know it, isn't the Bitcoin today as we knew it, a few years ago.
And as I understand it, and I'm not, highly involved in all the internal politics or whatnot, but I know you pay a little bit more attention to that than I do. There's one group of Bitcoin developers that they have called their team the Bitcoin Core team.
Correct.
Prior to that, there was, like the Bitcoin QT was like the primary official Bitcoin something.
QT is the graphical version of the official Bitcoin wallet. So Bitcoin D is the program name for the non-graphical version. So if you're going to do a command line prompt, and then they took Bitcoin D. So Bitcoin D runs in the background whenever you're running the actual Bitcoin graphical thing, which is the QT wallet.
But then there's also the group, and I don't know if they still exist. There was Bitcoin Unlimited.
That's a competing wallet. And that works on the Bitcoin
wallet
network.
That is developing various things for Bitcoin. So it's not that Bitcoin Core is the only group of developers trying to develop anything for Bitcoin. They're just the largest.
They're the influential ones. They're the ones that everybody pays attention to. They're the ones that adopt the various different protocols that are proposed for Bitcoin. So ultimately, they're the ones that matter, basically. But so I was making that change, and it was something that a few people were trying to do to differentiate the old Bitcoin from the new Bitcoin. But it's just not going to work now that somebody brilliantly created Bitcoin Core as its own cryptocurrency. So I think the best way for me to refer to Bitcoin, BTC, would be to call it the slow and expensive Bitcoin, because it is slow. I mean, many cryptocurrencies have become much faster as far as their block times and their confirmation times are concerned, and it is expensive again. I mean, it's it was as cheap as 20 cents per transaction as of within the last couple of months, but even that is still 10 times what it should be, because Bitcoin back in the day was like usually no more than a cent or two per transaction. And so 20 cents is still insultingly high to me, because I was around when it was cheaper. But now it's like if you go to bitcoinfees.info, it's $3 to get into the next block, as they call it, which means that it would take 10 minutes to get your first confirmation on your transaction. It's over $3, and it has been for the last few days. And when I brought that up on a recent discussion we were having in our crypto group in the area, Chris Reitman came back and said there was some sort of claim that it had to do with an exchange clearing out their Bitcoin or whatever is why the prices went up. But that was several days ago, and it's still high price. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like Bitcoin is still broken. It's just that the usage of it has gone down so much to where the fees aren't insane like they were last year when they hit $5, $10, $15, $20 per transaction. There's no reason they couldn't hit that again if the demand kept increasing. And since that's what we're talking about here tonight, is demand increasing, demand in the marketplace not being able to be met by its supplier. In the case of cryptocurrency, if Bitcoin fails, well, that's okay. There's thousands of other options out there, because you don't need to ask government permission, thank goodness, to create a cryptocurrency. All you got to do is know how to program and copy the code of an existing crypto, change it. So that's what they did with Litecoin when the Litecoin was the first alternative to Bitcoin that came out. I think it was like 2013 or somewhere around that time, 2012.
I think it was 2011,
Was it that early? Okay. Well, anyway, they copied the Bitcoin code and they tweaked a couple things. They made it 4 times faster with its block confirmation times, and they released that. And then the folks over at Dash copied the Litecoin code because they like the 4 times faster thing, but they also wanted to add some other things to it, like a governance structure and so on and so forth. So with cryptocurrency, it's super easy to make your own thing and enter the marketplace and compete, and that's why there is an insane level of competition. In fact, you could argue that it's actually too much, right? This is one of the arguments by people who don't like the free market, is they'll say, well, why do you need 70 different types of deodorants? What do you say to that?
Well, I personally don't need all of those, but there's a type of deodorant that I like. There's types of deodorant that other people like. So it's not that I personally need 70 deodorants, but there's a variety of people that all need different things.
That's true. But couldn't they just get by with 7 instead of 70?
Well, I could think of at least 7 different types of deodorant that Old Spice makes.
Yeah, that's true.
That there are, 7 different types that Axe body spray.
But isn't that just an example of the market's excess, Darryl? We don't really need all of those options, do we? Shouldn't the central government control these things?
As the T-shirt says, nobody needs a whiny little bitch either, but here you are.
That's Great comeback. Toll-free number here, 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Look, choices are good in the marketplace. Most of these choices in cryptocurrency can be safely ignored. Of course, you never know which one of them is going to sprout up and become the Bitcoin killer one of these days. It's Free Talk Live.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Get the ultimate knife at an ultimate price. The Fox Karambit knife. Finally available in the U.S. The Fox Karambit knife opens with one hand, faster than you can pull a handgun. For utility, for defense, and for way less than other knives of this caliber. Go to theultimateknife.com. Truly the best knife you will ever own. And only available at theultimateknife.com. Use promo code radio at checkout for free shipping. Get the ultimate knife at the ultimate price at theultimateknife.com.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free to join us on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733, and you can call in on Skype as well. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Of course, you can bring up anything you want. We got more to say on cannabis in Uruguay under a so-called legal but highly controlled market where the government has the exclusive right to distribute cannabis. We'll tell you more about how that's failing, as you would expect it to, if you know anything about the ways monopolies just don't work, especially when they're government-run monopolies that are enforcing their monopoly on others by the threat of violence. But first, we go to Sarah, calling in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I learned about another nuclear bomb shelter.
Oh?
This one is in the state of Pennsylvania, and I heard it on the 9 o'clock show today. So they actually cut into the mountain, they cut into the mountain. They have a whole city underneath it. So
is this one of these shelters that is ostensibly for the elites, like the politicians and rich people?
Well, and the people that work for the government. So he was talking about how you're picked, how you're qualified, and your coworkers and your family and your spouse and your daughters will just be toast. So it's it wasn't too great of an idea.
So what do you think about this? I mean, do you think that you think it's just not fair? I mean, why are you researching this? I mean, obviously, people who have a bunch of wealth at their disposal are going to be able to do things like build fancy underground bunkers or whatever. Does it make you jealous or what?
Well, I just think it's not fair that they're keeping this a big secret.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's a secret.
Not a secret. I did a search for bomb shelter Pennsylvania, and one of the first articles that came up was, here's the gigantic, not so secret Pennsylvania nuclear war in the let me begin reading that again because somehow I wound up just getting dyslexic.
All right.
Here's the gigantic, not so secret Pennsylvania bunker, quote, where nuclear war in the U.S. would begin.
Right, and this was
it's the Raven Rock Mountain Complex. That was built in the late 1940s.
Oh,
it's
old. That's right.
Locals jokingly refer to as Harry's Hole for President Harry Truman. Residents would hold picnics while watching the excavations and blasting, and many worked on the construction. It was never completely a secret, but it stayed close to one for a while, mainly because no one said anything.
Now, is it still, Sarah, maybe since you know so much about it, is this a government-run facility?
Well, I think so, and then I think the bunker that I was talking about is exactly this same bunker because they were blowing up under the mountains to make a whole city.
Yeah, see, it's not a secret when people are setting off bombs under a mountain and construction workers are there every single day.
The Raven Rock complex is fully operational, and should the United States break out into a nuclear war, it's where the defense operations would likely be centered.
Okay, so it is government run then.
Yes, it's government run.
Yeah, just making sure. I mean, it could be rich people, building their own bunker. I mean, that could happen.
It was built by the U.S. military in the 1940s, and that's why it was called Harry's Hole, because it's where Harry Truman would hide.
Just making sure. All right, so there you go, Sarah. Not a secret at all. So you didn't really stumble into anything.
But they didn't teach it to us in third grade in history class, but even if they did, nobody would remember it that many years later, so therefore secret.
It's not a secret, but the good news is nuclear war, probably not the most likely thing on the horizon. Thank goodness, because even the most psychopathic nut job in various different nations, they still want to have their power. So they're not likely to launch a nuclear strike, given that they know that they would probably be eliminated from existence by a counterstrike after that, and they don't want that to happen. So thank goodness for that.
Well, the seed bank in the Arctic, right? I know that they have that because they want when they come out from these.
There's
in the Arctic,
seed bank in the Arctic.
Yeah, they have this mechanically. I mean, it's pretty cold.
Yeah,
but they have to freeze. They have a freezer that keeps it even colder, and it's the last flighted airplane, like the scheduled airplane is the last one that was as far as it would go.
Is the idea that if you keep seeds on the Arctic, that if nuclear holocaust comes, that it won't strike the Arctic, and so you'll go and collect the seeds and sort of replant the soil? Is that? I'm just speculating here. Is that the reason for it?
Well, that's the elitist plan with, the billionaires, Koch's brother and all that. When they come out, after it settles down, they want to have the seeds available to replenish the earth. So you know what? They want to calm us down. Like the nuclear war it's not going to be happening, but I'm pretty sure it's coming down. Who knows where I'm going to be or you're going to be?
Well, we'll probably be dead.
So the Svalbard Global Seed Vault is in Norway. It is about 800 miles from the North Pole, and it's operated by the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research, and they keep seeds. Yeah. They do keep seeds there, but it's basically to where if for some reason something happens and a particular plant, quote unquote, goes extinct, we've got seeds and we can try to recreate this plant.
There you go. Sarah, I understand you're afraid. Is there one particular madman that you're most afraid of in the world?
Well, you know what? It's not just a madman, but it was predicted by Nostradamus. You know what I mean? It's like you cannot.
Oh, because some other lunatic in the past made a bunch of failed predictions. You believe that this one is going to come true? Nostradamus.
Well, Nostradamus, he did say that it's going to hit New York.
Have you ever considered looking at a list of all of his failed predictions?
He said a bunch of things, and some of them have been construed to be something that was predicted. Like, he wrote basically in riddles. And some people have said, see, this riddle means that this thing. But it's always after the fact. It's always just sort of like the Bible code thing, to where people, you type in and like there's hidden messages in the Torah.
Oh, yeah.
But
we know
you
a guy
always
who's into
ever
that.
find them after the fact.
Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. Appreciate it. I got to say, I'm not scared about nuclear holocaust because, good luck with that, man. Haven't you ever played the Fallout games?
No, but see, I just want to warn people, this is what happens when you listen to way too much late-night radio. And
You're talking about what Sarah is what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like early morning radio where people yell and scream about turning frogs gay.
But wait a minute, Darryl. We're on in the middle of the night in a lot of markets.
Okay, but we're not talking about paranoid conspiracy theorists unless Sarah calls in.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so there you go. There's your Sarah dose for the night. And she called an hour earlier than she normally does. I wonder if she's all right. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. So we were talking about monopoly, specifically government monopoly over the cannabis plant, which is what's happened in Uruguay, the first country to legalize cannabis. And they got it wrong in Uruguay, just like they're getting it wrong in most of the Canadian provinces, as we went over this weekend with their plans to have the government be the exclusive retailer of cannabis in Uruguay,
and even to some extent, Washington and Colorado have gotten it wrong.
Sure, any amount of regulation is wrong from the libertarian perspective because it's a plant. You should just be able to, buy and sell and grow and eat and, cook with and do whatever it is you want, smoke it with the plant that you like without having to ask any government bureaucrats permission. But if you are in Colorado and Washington and you don't have their permission slip, men with guns could very well raid your facility and shut it down and steal all your stuff, just like they did during the war on drugs.
Right.
So that hasn't changed. It's really all about obedience and asking permission. According to CBS News in their article about Uruguay's marijuana struggles, where they can't meet consumer demand, not because it's impossible. It's certainly possible to meet consumer demand for a weed that you can just throw seeds everywhere for and have it grow. It's not hard to grow cannabis. Now, there's ways to do it that make it better. And we'll continue here in moments. Why are they failing? And we'll tell you more about the situation. It's because government, because monopoly, violent monopoly. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with Omega-6, Omega-3, Vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencash.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and of course you're invited to join us here on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, and we've got Skype as well. Skype username lrn.fm, plus the Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. And I want you to know about Zencash if you are into cryptocurrency, if you're just getting started into cryptocurrency, or if you're old school. You know there are a bunch of alternatives to Bitcoin out there. We mentioned some of them earlier here tonight. But there's an overwhelming amount of them. So where do you start? You don't have time to look through 1,500 of them, and that's just the ones that are listed on CoinMarketCap.
Right.
I don't know how many of them there actually are. There's probably like 3,000 of them or something, because CoinMarketCap won't actually list the cryptos that don't do more than a certain amount, I think, of transactional volume per day. So you got to get past a certain point to get to that list.
Right. And there was one of the cryptocurrencies, I'm not going to mention the name, that Will Coley was actually handing out paper wallets for at Forkfest and Porkfest.
Yeah.
Because they were hoping that people would take the currency and then go to an exchange and trade it to wind up hitting that magical number so that they then get listed on CoinMarketCap.
It's an interesting approach. I wonder if it worked out for them. But Zencash is there. It is on the list. And there's good reason why, because it's a solid crypto. It's got some of the best technology out there, especially in the world of privacy. It's got zero-knowledge anonymity, so if you care about privacy, you want to look at Zencash. If you care about voluntarism, if you care about liberty, if you care about good economics, you want to look at Zencash. It was founded by voluntarists like the host of this show, not the host of this show, but people who have similar worldviews. In fact, they wrote voluntarism into the white paper, which you can see for yourself over at zencash.com. There's a lot of people supporting Zencash, running over 11,000 secure nodes, which means that it's one of the most secure systems as far as the node count is concerned. It's almost impenetrable. It's impossible to take that down because you can't stop 11,000 different nodes all around the entire planet. So it's awesome. Go and check out Zencash over at zencash.com, and you can learn about their secure nodes and how you can actually get paid in Zen to run one of those. And upcoming soon, they're working on what they're calling super nodes of Zen. So head on over to zencash.com as we continue here. And we'll take your calls about what you want, but in the first part of this hour, we were talking about the Uruguay story out of CBS News, reporting on the government's abject failure to meet demand. According to the head of Uruguay's National Drugs Council, Diego Oliveira, he says the demand is greater than our productive capacity. Now, he says he wants to address that challenge, but as I pointed out before, whether they do it sooner or later or if they ever succeed really is immaterial because, well, even if they don't succeed to increase their capacities, they'll still be fine. The government's not going to go out of business, especially when it has
Unfortunately.
Especially when it has the government-granted monopoly, meaning that anybody else who tries to compete will be considered illegal and subject to arrest and prosecution. Now, as they point out here in the story, Oregon and California have the opposite problem. They've got a glut, which of course isn't so much of a problem. It's certainly not a problem for the consumers. It's a challenge for the producers. If you have too much marijuana, you can't hold on to it forever. It's a plant, and it will wither, and it will go bad over time. It will go to mold, and so your marijuana crop has a limited lifespan, and you got to get it sold. Otherwise, you got to give it away, or burn it, or get rid of it in some way. And so that's the other problem.
People that buy it, they also burn it.
That's true, but if you've spent money producing a thing, you would prefer not to set it aflame.
Now, I wonder
if you're the producer.
I wonder if, I'm not super knowledgeable on cannabis and how well it, quote unquote, ages or whatnot. But let's say that something has been on the shelf for several months. Would that then be good for making edibles out of if it is no longer necessarily prime for smoking?
Yeah. So I'm also not an expert on growing, but I've known a thing or two about the world of cannabis, and I know that in the world of the illegal marketplace, sometimes the cheaper cannabis, which is harder to find in the United States these days, as compared to what it was 20 years ago when I was living down in Florida. But the regs, as they call it, which is regular sort of level marijuana with a bunch of seeds and real stemmy, that stuff can sit on a shelf or in a warehouse and being transported around from handler to handler for a period of up to several months. So sometimes you can get some cannabis that's fairly brittle because it's very, very dry. Now, part of the cannabis curing process is about making sure that it is dried out properly because you don't want it to be moist, otherwise it'll go to mold sooner. And if if you're a cannabis distributor and you've got dozens of pounds of cannabis to sell and it goes moldy, you get a huge problem on your hands.
Yes.
So you do want to dry it out, but at the same time, your cannabis consumer doesn't want it to be bone dry, even though they want a good value, right? Like, because if it's water wet, if a bad dealer sprayed down with water, for instance, their cannabis to increase the wetness, they're risking going mold, but they also make more money because then they're selling the weight of the water instead of the plant.
Correct.
So obviously, a consumer will want to have drier cannabis, but if it's too bone dry, it'll just break apart in your hands, and it's just a little it's just too dusty or whatever for people's preferences. So, but yes, you could certainly bake that into some baked goods. The quality of the THC doesn't go down simply because the cannabis gets old, at least in my experience.
Okay.
So I hope that answers that question. In Uruguay, however, even finding legal marijuana can be a chore, as the woman that they interviewed for the piece, I think it was Laura, let's see here, Laura Andrade, discovered. The law lets registered users buy as much as 40 grams or 1.4 ounces of marijuana per month at participating pharmacies, but only 14 of the country's estimated 1,200 pharmacies have signed up to sell marijuana. Many balked at the idea of selling the drug due to low profit margins or fear of being robbed. The law also allows the growing of pot by licensed individuals and the formation of growers and users clubs. Okay, so it's a little bit better than I had thought that it was. Oliveira, that's the government guy, estimates 20 to 25 metric tons of marijuana are consumed annually between the legal and black market, and academic studies say the figure could be as high as 30 metric tons. That's about 3 times what the legal system could now provide at full capacity, and officials say it's actually been producing less. Oliveira said officials are considering granting more licenses because 2 companies, only 2 of them, are licensed to produce a total of 4 tons combined for sale to pharmacies. But officials say they only recently began meeting that target. Oliveira said, quote, "There was no experience with farming on a large scale, and it took a while to finally nail the technology, the workforce, and the drying process." Well, did these companies hire a bunch of newbies, people who'd never grown marijuana before?
Probably, because I'm going to guess that Uruguay, like Colorado and Washington and the other states in the U.S. that have created some, regulated scheme, they likely said if you have certain convictions for cannabis on your record, you are prohibited from working in this industry. So basically, the people that are most knowledgeable but happen to have got caught, you can't work here.
Harvesting the marijuana was a difficult process from the start, said Eduardo Blasina, an agronomy engineer who held a minority stake in the companies that supply pharmacies. Quote, "It's a complex crop, and the investors behind these companies didn't come from a culture of cannabis. You'd tell them, you need to buy 50 fans, something that's very necessary in some instances, and they'd look at you as if you were an alien." Unquote.
Why we need fans?
Uruguay's 8,750 registered individual growers are allowed to harvest up to 480 grams, which is a little over a pound each per year. If all met that figure, it would total about 4 tons per year. There are also 90 users clubs with 2,529 members. If they were to produce their maximum amount, it would come to another ton annually. An estimated 147,000 Uruguayans between the ages of 18 and 65 consume marijuana, with about a third of them using it weekly. But so far, only about 35,000 have registered to use the legal marijuana system. Even with legal users sharing their pot, Uruguay's Cannabis Control Institute says that the regulated market reaches just about half of the country's users. Most of Uruguay's 19 provinces still don't have marijuana dispensaries, even though the number of people registered to buy at the pharmacies has jumped from 4,950 when the sales began in July of 2017 to 24,000. Over 24,000 today. Pharmacy employee Lino Seye says marijuana arrives once a week at his business. Quote, "They're supposed to provide us with about 4 kilograms, but only give us 3, he says. Quote, "The system is ridiculous. I live far away, work and study." This actually is a local chef who has to remain anonymous because he doesn't want to be stigmatized for smoking pot. He says, "I live far away, work and study. It's too complicated to buy like this. I'm here to buy it, but they won't sell it to me because I came some hours early." He says this on a pharmacy that distributes the marijuana on an appointment basis. Quote, "If the law says this is legal, what's the problem?" Unquote. Jose Luis Bertulo, who came to the pharmacy with his partner, said, quote, "This is the last time we buy. This marijuana doesn't really hit you as much," he said, adding that the 2 want to register to grow their own. He says, "It will be much better to have our own little plant." So that quote means that the government, who is authorizing only 2 companies to grow legally for the entire country of Uruguay, has failed because those 2 companies suck at it and they're producing weed that the people who are buying it don't even like. More coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio.
Normal blood pressure, naturally. How would that make you feel?
I'm Don from New Mexico. January of 2000, I had a heart attack. Then my real health began going downhill. I had high blood pressure, diabetes, poor vision. I wasn't sleeping well. I was a mess.
Don reports dramatic improvements with Heart and Body Extract.
I started taking Heart and Body Extract. From within a few days, I started sleeping better. My blood pressure normalized. My diabetes normalized. My sleep improved.
Experience these benefits and more when your body heals itself with the assistance of Heart and Body Extract. Order at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305. That's hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305.
And folks, I did not expect this at all. By the 7th, 8th, and 9th day, I saw dramatic improvements from taking Heart and Body Extract.
Heart and Body Extract comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, June 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,269 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,369. Antiwar.com reports Iraq's Supreme Court ruled Thursday that Parliament's order for a full manual recount of all 11 million ballots cast in the May 12th election must go forward. The Electoral Commission had contested this, saying a nationwide recount was not needed. The court did, however, reject a secondary Parliament order that all ballots cast by overseas voters, as well as all ballots cast by internally displaced persons, be thrown out, saying that would be unconstitutional. Some members of Parliament had claimed these ballots were particularly vulnerable to fraud. This part of the ruling is very good for Iraq's Sunni Arab minority, as they are the most heavily displaced population within Iraq, and having all those votes thrown out would have cut into their already limited representation in Parliament. The recount will further delay the final certification of the vote results, which saw cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's bloc winning the largest plurality. Sadr was in the process of trying to come up with a majority coalition, and now is likely to be stuck waiting for a long, arduous recount, just in case it changes a seat or two somewhere. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Thursday to allow states to force online retailers to collect a sales tax, breaking the 50 years' worth of previous rulings. In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled in favor of the state of South Dakota, which asked the court to uphold a new law imposing an internet sales tax. South Dakota argued that an explosion in online sales changed the market and passed a law 2 years ago requiring all but the smallest retailers to collect tax on sales they made in the state, even if they have no physical presence there. Internet companies argued argued applying a sales tax would be a daunting task as local tax laws vary widely by state. Justice Anthony Kennedy, writing for the majority, was joined by Justices Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. Kennedy argued physical businesses were put at a disadvantage because they were forced to charge a sales tax while online businesses did not, noting the rule prevented market participants from competing on an even playing field. Kennedy wrote, each year the physical presence rule becomes further removed from economic reality and results in significant revenue losses to the states. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing in dissent with Justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, said the decision disregards the cost a sales tax would impose on online retailers, a process that could be baffling for internet sellers. Roberts wrote, the burden will fall disproportionately on small businesses. One vitalizing effect of the internet has been connecting small, even micro businesses to potential buyers across the nation. Adding, people starting a business selling their embroidered pillowcases or carved decoys can offer their wares throughout the country, but probably not if they have to figure out the tax due on every sale. Roberts said the decision should be left to Congress as they have more flexibility to address the issue. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports First Lady Melania Trump's visit on Thursday to a Texas shelter housing migrant children separated from their parents was overshadowed by a jacket she wore with the words, "I really don't care. Do you?" scrawled in white brushstrokes on the back. Melania Trump was shown in photos wearing the hooded green khaki jacket as she boarded a flight from Andrews Air Force Base to the border facility in McAllen, Texas. She had it on again when she left the aircraft upon returning to Washington, D.C. later in the evening. Stephanie Grisham, Melania Trump's spokeswoman, told reporters, "It's a jacket. There was no hidden message." Defending his wife's choice of jacket, Trump blamed the media, tweeting, "I really don't care, do you?" written on the back of Melania's jacket refers to the fake news media. Melania has learned how dishonest they are, and she truly no longer cares. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports that local full-blown alcoholic Ken Matheson has such great friends that let him drink himself to death right before their eyes, the 32-year-old man spoke to reporters during a typical evening of binging with his closest friends.
Man, these guys are like brothers to me. I don't know what I'd do without them.
The chemically dependent man, who can reportedly always count on his friends to look the other way, facilitate belligerent behavior, and encourage his self-destructive impulses, informed reporters that the members of his tight-knit circle are, quote, the best buddies a guy could ask for.
Can you just shut the f*** up? Seriously. Just shut the f*** up. I lost them. Back down. Keep going. What the f*** are you looking at? I love you, man. I love you.
Check this week's Onion Review for further developments.
I love you. Oh, God, I love everybody.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program, and we got plenty of time for you if you want to join us here on the radio waves. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
We've been talking about the government-regulated marketplace in Uruguay, which it's not much better than I thought it had initially been. I thought the government was the exclusive distributor, but it turns out they're using pharmacies who have to jump through whatever governmental hoops to become licensed pharmacies. So not just any pharmacy can do it. And so far, only 12 of them apparently have decided the hoops were worth jumping through.
Right, and it said, what, again, like half of the provinces have no dispensaries at all?
More than half. Most of their 19 provinces have no marijuana dispensaries. And further, the government has only authorized 2 growers to provide all of the marijuana for the entire country of Uruguay, and they're failing. They're failing. And in addition, one of the...
But are they also... Didn't you say they were limiting the amount that the growers could grow?
They're limiting the individual growers.
Ah, okay.
And
see, I heard that as they were limiting the authorized growers And then surprised
they are limiting the authorized growers. I'm sorry, you're correct. 2 companies licensed to produce a total of 4 tons.
Yeah, so
even though the government themselves are estimating 30 tons is what is required to feed the demand.
We need 30, but you can only grow 4.
Right.
I don't understand why we don't have enough here.
And the weed they're growing is not that impressive. According to Jose Luis Bertullo, who went to a pharmacy to purchase, he said, this is the last time we buy. This marijuana doesn't really hit you as much, meaning that it's not as strong as what they're used to buying in the black market.
Right.
So why bother having to travel? Because, again, many people are having to travel at quite a distance. And some of these pharmacies are completely sold out. They can't actually get the weed when they show up, so they've wasted their time. When you can make a phone call and some entrepreneur in the black market will show up at your door with a backpack full of weed.
Right.
With probably more than one choice. Uruguay launched its government-regulated marketplace, says CBS News, in an effort to fight rising homicide and crime rates linked with illicit drug trafficking. Yet drug violence has increased since the law went into effect. Interior Minister Eduardo Bonomi says fights between criminal gangs, mostly associated with drugs, make up 59% of all homicides in the first quarter of 2018, roughly double the percentage in 2012. Now, if their reason for legalizing cannabis was to fight homicide, they are looking in the wrong place. That's not to say there may not be some drug fights between gangs over cannabis.
Right.
But the real hard drug problem is where, it's the distribution of cocaine, it's the distribution of heroin, it's the hard drug distribution is where these criminal gangs are still operating full on. And of course, they're still operating cannabis too.
Right.
But they're still operating. Even if they had done a completely legal cannabis situation where there was no regulation, where the government stepped away completely and allowed anybody who wanted to acquire seeds, grow, sell, keep, give away, whatever cannabis, that still wouldn't end drug violence. Because prohibition continues on all of the other things. And as long as prohibition exists, as people should have learned by now, but apparently they haven't, because I guess they think they can get it right. As long as prohibition exists, violence will follow it.
Right. And, I'm wondering if some of the prohibitionists, much like we often hear from communists and socialists, well, it just wasn't done the right way. The prohibition, the alcohol prohibition in the 30s, it just wasn't done the right way. Or the 20s or whatever it was.
We just needed more violence.
We just need to tweak it. The Soviet Union, they were communists. They just didn't do it right. If only they would have done
X, Y, or
fill
Z.
in the blank here, there, the other thing.
Just put me in charge. I'll get it all right.
We can't go back on this thing. We can't say it's a failure because we've already spent all this money on it. And it's largely the sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
We've spent billions of dollars on it. We can't stop now.
We got to keep spending. We got to keep arresting. We'll arrest our way out of this problem one of these days. Of course, it never works. But what it does work
arrest our way out of the prison overpopulation problem.
But it's not a problem for them. They like it. And that's what I was about to say was, for them, it doesn't really matter if, they can never arrest their way out of the problem. Because the more arrests they make, the larger the prison industrial complex becomes, the more deals they can cut with these private prisons, the more slave labor they have on their hands because these people in the prisons are forced to work or else they're put in segregation, which is essentially a form of torture. And so they're taking drug dealers and drug users and they're turning them into basically unpaid slave labor. So that's one aspect of this. And the other aspect is that the billions that they're spending, those are billions that enrich these bureaucracies. I mean, they love the money. They love the forfeiture. They love the assets that they get, the cars, the shiny cars from the dealers. And
in a lot of states, they wind up emblazoning somewhere on their ill-gotten gains.
Yeah.
We took this from a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who else can drive around in their stolen car and advertise it publicly except the police?
Right.
Yeah. So a little bit more here. Telemundo Television interviewed former President Julio Maria Sanguinetti, an opponent of legalization, saying, quote, "There have never been as many drug traffickers and drug violence as today." Last year, according to the story at CBS News, the country's homicide rate was 8.1 per 100,000 inhabitants, the second highest in nearly 30 years, though still far better than the rate for neighboring Brazil. Oliveira and other officials, though, say the plan just needs more time. Oliveira said, quote, "It's going to be a year in July since the sale in the pharmacies began. We never thought about eliminating the black market in a short time. It was always a gradual thing. This doesn't happen overnight." It could, though.
Right.
It really could. Because if somebody, somewhere, some political body, which, this is a total fantasy. It's never likely going to occur. But if some political body were to simply let go of controlled substances, of the whole idea of controlling substances, and actually have true depenalization to undo prohibition, to make it so it's legal not just for cannabis, but for every other controlled substance out there, you name it, heroin, mushrooms, LSD, whatever you want to say, even the prescriptions, if you just let go of that control and let the market, they say let go and let God, let go and let the market, the wonderful invisible hand of the market, it literally will eliminate the black market overnight. Because, the black market's just the people operating under prohibition.
Right.
Those people, if they weren't afraid of coming out of the shadows, if they knew that they weren't going to get thrown into a jail cell for the thing that they're doing, which is, in most cases, simply providing a product to a consenting audience, to people that are searching for that product.
Yep.
It's not common for drug dealers to ply their wares on preschool children. That doesn't happen. They can't afford to buy the whatever it is that they're applying.
Right. That's just one of the scare tactics that they teach you in DARE.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so if you just let go, then everything can go legit. All of a sudden, drug manufacturers can start manufacturing things like heroin again, because they used to.
Yep.
And, they can manufacture those things under controlled conditions, which eliminates the problem with overdosing for the most part, except for intentional overdoses, which there are hardly any of those compared to unintentional overdoses. So
most of the intentional overdoses are people that are definitely trying to kill themselves, and almost all the time that is with prescription drugs.
They can get a bottle of aspirin and down that. I'm not recommending it, but some people have tried that. And so, if you want to kill yourself, there's plenty of ways to do that. So they would end the problem with unintentional overdoses. The quality, the product would be available. It wouldn't be something people would have to hunt for, in the streets. The safety of the streets would go up because the black market would no longer need to operate. It literally would be, if not overnight, within weeks of it accomplished. This government bureaucrat's like, it's just been a year. We're going to need another 5 years to really figure out how to grow this weed and get it distributed to people. No, you really don't. The black market's been handling distribution under the threat of violence from the government for decades. They've got distribution down.
Yes.
They can smuggle in weed under the noses of Border Patrol agents simply by paying off whoever they need to pay off to look the other way when they go across the border. So it just would make things easier. It would lower the prices, as we're seeing in Colorado and Washington. Even under a regulated market, prices are being slashed because competition works when you allow the market to even work a little bit. And again, will we ever see a free market in drugs in the United States or anywhere in the world? I don't know.
So.
I sure hope so, though. There's more coming up here. You can join us. This is Free Talk Live.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the crown, not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free here to join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username's LRN.FM, and then there's also our Discord on-air call-in line room over at discord.lrn.fm. Hop on into that option, and you'll sound like you are sitting in the studio here with us. So Liberty.menu is a place where you can go if you're a liberty-minded person, if you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and who agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. You qualify to use Liberty.menu to list the thing that you do, or the things that you do, because you can have more than one listing, and they're all for free. So it's like a libertarian business directory. That's its main thrust. It also has events listings. So the recent Fork Fest that happened last weekend, that was up there. And it kind of was made into its own event category, so sub-events could be listed underneath that, which was awesome. And I'm hoping that that'll happen next year for Forkfest 2019, which we should announce tentatively has dates set for it already as June 13th through June 18th, or I guess you could say until June 18th, the 13th through the 18th. That will be 2019, so you can mark your calendar temporarily for that. And I have, as of earlier today, made an entry on Liberty.menu for Forkfest 2019.
Yes.
Which put
Yes,
me
you
into 6th place on the leaderboard, very far away from your number 1 slot, Darryl. You are the number 1 biggest submitter over at liberty.menu, followed by the actual creators of the site, and then somebody who I don't know, and then Roger Paxton and me. So I'm closing in on Roger Paxton, but I've got a little bit of a ways to catch up to him. Because you can put things on there that aren't even your business if you want to. Like if you want to be helpful, you could, if you know somebody who's got a libertarian-oriented business, or they're a libertarian who runs a business, and you know they're not afraid of being outed publicly for that, because I guess in some areas, if somebody finds out you're a libertarian, they might not like you anymore.
Right.
But if you want to add something that's not yours, so like Forkfest isn't my event, so when I created it, because nobody runs Forkfest,
right.
So when I created it, it gives you the choice of, are you associated with in some way, like the creator of or the owner of this thing,
right,
or not. So I chose not. And so you can add other people's businesses if you would like. And then I think there's a way for them to come in and claim it later if they would like to do that.
And you actually do know the person that's sitting in 4th place. It's Brian McQuaid, Roger's co-host on his Star Wars podcast, Resist the Empire.
Well, that explains the handle, which I did not recognize.
Yes.
Libertarian Jedi. All right, so go to go to liberty.menu, and then you can add your own stuff to that. And it's a global map. It's not a New Hampshire thing. This is all across the world. Although right now, let's see, it looks like Europe's got, where is that, Turkey? I'm not sure where that is. Something in Korea. And so there are a few different things, on this map. Wait, is that Korea? No, that's Japan. Somebody in Japan. I went to government school for my geography class, okay? Cut me a break. Liberty.menu. Wherever you are in the world, there's a place for you there. Let's go to Patrick. He's in Bullhead, Arizona, listening to K-Talks. Hello, Patrick. Patrick.
It's been a long time.
Hey, welcome back. You're a cop, by the way, just so our listeners, in case they don't recognize your voice, that's what you do out there in Bullhead City. Go ahead.
But, you brought up a real good point about ending this prohibition. It's funny because you go out there on a daily basis, and you got all these laws, and you have to enforce them and do these things. The sad part is you spend your time going after this pettiness of, let's say, going after a guy who's smoking a joint. Ooh.
Right.
Instead, the fact that you guys bring up a real good point because, you're there to serve and protect. You're not there to harass and ignore, And it's funny because I would think that if they did do something like that, other than the people that are getting rich off of all of this being a little bit, hurt in the keister, it would allow people that actually are in law enforcement to go out there and actually go after the bad guys, the people that are hurting people and the people that are ripping people off.
Absolutely. And when I see the police doing the right thing, I will appreciate that. I will tell them thank you for, doing the right thing and taking a real bad guy off the streets, like when they take one of their own. For instance, the one that was raping children here in the Keene area that got taken off the streets as a police chief at that time. Oh, and then I just saw a headline, interestingly. Remember, Darryl, we've been in all these marijuana hearings.
Yes.
And you know that head of the Police Chiefs Association? The one whose name's Dick, Richard Crate? He's from Enfield. He's got a bald head. He's always in there. He's not the old guy. There's the old white-haired guy.
That's the guy I was thinking of at first.
It's the other guy who's the head of the Police Chiefs Association. Well, Vincent, who is our sometime co-host and lives up in that the Enfield area, it's one of the towns surrounding Hanover where he lives, he sent me an interesting headline today about that. This is the head of the Police Chiefs Association in New Hampshire. The story from the Valley News headline, Enfield Police Chief stepping down over alleged assault of his son.
And look at the date of that. That's actually from April.
That's right.
But we're just now hearing about this.
Well, I mean, it's we don't live in the Upper Valley.
Right.
You'd be surprised at stuff that gets covered up. I mean, I know stuff. I mean, I know it firsthand. I'm not a hearsay kind of person. And I'm telling you right now that it's a shame because people need to know that. The only way you can fix a problem is know that there is a problem. But unfortunately, in the field that I work, they're masters at covering up stuff. And it's sad because, yeah, I mean, and I can't help it. I'm one person, Do you speak the truth? You're chastised. You're threatened on your job. You're told that you can't do things. You can't say something or, do the thing that actually you want to do the right thing.
Yeah, we had a guy who was a guest on our show for a while named Brad Jardis, who was a police officer in New Hampshire for more than a decade, who came out of the closet against the war on drugs. And that set off a series of events, including co-officers basically trying to intimidate him, and then ultimately trying to get him fired from the department. Luckily, the people of the area came to his termination hearing and stood up and spoke in his favor, and he kept his job as a result of that. But then he just resigned afterwards because who would want to work?
Yeah, because you get pressured.
Right.
I mean, I've seen that happen. I mean, it's like you get shunned, and then they look at every little thing that you do, and it becomes hyper criticized. I think that's a good term for it.
Yeah, you'll go under the microscope in that particular case. Now, what you mentioned, Patrick, earlier wasn't entirely accurate. As a police officer, you do have discretion. So even though you are tasked with enforcing a certain set of laws, unless it's usually like a felony in progress or whatever, you generally can completely ignore it. So if there's somebody smoking a joint,
it's called officer discretion.
Correct.
It's officer discretion. The only thing that you have to look out for, and I do this, and maybe you guys can do it. If somebody is completely impaired, you don't want them driving around.
Yeah, no doubt. No matter what it is. Maybe it's a lack of sleep. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why somebody would be impaired behind the wheel, and whatever the reason is, need to be getting off the roads. Thanks for the call, Patrick. I appreciate hearing from you. Sensible opinion there from a police officer who is on duty. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original, most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Free Talk Live.
3-year-old child lost his arm after being viciously attacked by a pit bull terrier earlier this month.
Gosh.
Now the incident has moved a state lawmaker to author legislation that will effectively ban the pit bull breed in the entire state of Oklahoma.
Wow. Wouldn't all of Mr. Wesselhoff's constituents be a little safer if we all just couldn't have any dogs at all?
That's true. It would guarantee that no one would be bitten by dogs.
Right, and no cats.
What about cats? They scratch people.
They do scratch people, and it leaves a nasty infection.
It could, certainly.
Certainly.
We should ban infections, too, while we're at it. I mean, while we're protecting everyone from everything.
Birds can carry the flu, we know that.
We should just exterminate all animals with teeth.
Well, forget the teeth. The birds have no teeth. I say we kill them all.
Just every animal.
Yeah.
Okay. What about insects? You could just sign a law that bans mosquitoes.
That'd be great.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free. Take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever you want with you in the studio. It's Ian.
And Darryl.
And don't forget, you can join us anytime you want. Just head on over to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that we have waiting for you on the site. And there's a bunch of them. They're all free. The webcam through our Twitch feed is available to you in 720p HD quality every single night that we're here in the studio. So it wasn't there for you, obviously, during Forkfest when we were on a campground with really crappy internet. It would have been super disappointing had we even attempted to stream any video out of there. But if you go to twitch.lrn.fm, you can watch us on Twitch anytime we're live, and even later on via their archives, which are limited time. They only keep their archives there for, I think, about 2 weeks. But head on over there at twitch.lrn.fm. There is a chat system built into Twitch, which is separate from our Discord chat. Most people tend to chat in Discord, but if for whatever reason you want to be in the Twitch chat, it's there for you. It's just there's only usually an occasional comment. So if you want to do some chatting, just link on over to our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm. And if you follow us on our Twitch channel, and thank you to the over 300 people who are followers, again, we're brand new on Twitch, just having started in January. And we don't really, necessarily fit the rest of the format. It's mostly video game streaming, but they have a talk shows category, and they have tried to expand out a little bit. So we're trying to do that there. If you follow us on Twitch and you sign up for the email notifications, or if you've got the app and you have notifications turned on, it will notify you when we go live, which is a handy reminder that we're there if you want to listen live. And of course, you can listen later on anytime over at freetalklive.com. And once again, it's twitch.lrn.fm. I do want you to know about saveatpurse.com. That's where you can go to save big time on the stuff that you need and the stuff that you want through Amazon. You're using your cryptocurrency, however, because there's no other way to use Purse. It's for people with crypto who want to use it to spend through Amazon. But because Amazon doesn't actually allow cryptocurrency purchases directly, Purse is kind of this intermediary that has a marketplace set up where your crypto, in this case Bitcoin is the most popular probably on Purse, your Bitcoin that you put into the site is put up for basically a marketplace to purchase at a discount or at a increased rate because you are wanting a discount on Amazon products. So you can actually get Amazon product for 20% off easily. Just across the board, I've never had a problem getting 20% off through saveatpurse.com. 25%, definitely pretty doable. You start going toward 30%, it gets a little harder. So, for instance, I put something up there for the maximum discount of 33% off. I want to get one of those mosquito trap things because we got one of them.
Okay.
And I want to get a bigger one. Mark's got this monster-sized one that he's got in his yard that, attracts bugs from up to an acre away. And so I want to put that thing in the backyard here at the LRN studio.
Okay.
And just let it crank. But I don't really need it. So, like, it doesn't matter to me whether this thing arrives next month or next week or whatever. So I just put it at 33%.
Right.
We'll see if somebody snaps it up. So far, it's been a day or so, and nobody has yet. But if I'd put it at 15, 20, 22% or something, it probably would have already been bought by now. Go to saveatpurse.com. You can get started there. It's super easy to do. saveatpurse.com. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, we've got David on the line in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, all too creepy, New Mexico. I have not seen a mosquito since last year.
All right then.
Yeah. And to finish up what I was saying last night, because I didn't get a chance to squeeze it in, on the biggest radio station in this state, the one that silences the voices of callers that want to question politicians that are on the radio station, including their own representatives. They invite people to call in and ask questions of candidates, except they maintain a literal blacklist. And my name is on that blacklist as per the station manager, the program manager of this largest station in the state of New Mexico. And this week, in the middle of this week on Wednesday, I recorded that station manager doing his 2-hour program in the middle of the day. I recorded him using homophobic slurs over and over and over again against a caller that had upset him. And I took that recording and I emailed it to about 100 different directions, most of them politicians in the state of New Mexico, and then some people that are in the radio business, including yourselves, if you ever saw it. And that was Wednesday.
I don't know why I would care. I mean, it's some conservative, presumably on the radio. I mean, what do you expect except homophobia from those people?
Right, yeah. Well, here's the point. Not about the point is that guy was silencing speech. You know, here they are. They're bringing candidates on to let the citizens ask questions to help decide who they're going to vote for. And they literally maintain a blacklist, just like they did in Hollywood, you know, and over that whole thing, a literal blacklist. So anyway, I caught this guy doing something. That was just a tool. So and I distributed it. And that was on Wednesday. On Thursday, that guy was not on the radio, and he was not on the radio today. He's off the radio for this week and all of next week. So it's some small success.
Do you think that had to do with the comments? Was there any kind of admission from the station as to why he's not on, or is he just on a vacation?
Yeah, no. They over the radio they say he's on vacation, but I got people that I call that work at that radio station, and they say it's because of what I did.
Oh, congratulations. I mean, I don't think it's going to have any effect in the long term. I mean, like you said, the guy's coming back in a week. And you know, if he adjusts what he says about gay people on the air to keep his job, that's not going to change anything about whether or not you and these other callers are prohibited from calling into the radio show. So ultimately, it has done nothing to increase the accountability to the politicians that are appearing on these shows.
Well, you know, for instance, here's a suggestion that comes from this guy's own personnel at his own station. The next place that recording goes is to all of their advertisers. So, and that's at the suggestion of radio station personnel. So I'm going to send all these homophobic slurs that this guy did. I'm going to send it to the people that advertise on that radio station and let them listen to it.
That is a effective way to have some level of influence. And thank you for the call, David. The toll-free number here tonight, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE like freedom. When people are, boycotting, or there's a threat of a boycott, it certainly does make advertisers sit up and take notice, because a lot of the times on a radio show, an advertiser, especially at a national level, now this is a local show he's talking about in Albuquerque, and I think the big Cumulus station in the area, but even in the case of local, a lot of advertisers don't really know the show they're advertising on. Sometimes you'll get an advertiser who's an actual listener, and they're really excited about advertising and teaming up with the show that they're a fan of. Those are the best kinds of advertisers, because those are the ones who are likely going to stick with you through a tough time like this.
They're what are referred to as ideological advertisers.
Sure. Or at the very least, they like the show for whatever reason they like it, and they know others listen. and so they want to back the show that they know is popular, and because they know it's going to get people through the doors. But they don't want to usually be embroiled in controversy, even if the advertiser agrees with the host. Like
Correct.
maybe the advertiser is also a homophobe, and they would agree with the host's statements, but they don't want to be known as a homophobe, or supporting a homophobe, so they might actually still pull their support from that program. It's a smart way of attacking a system that ultimately is designed to keep away critique. So I can understand why David is frustrated. I can empathize with him. One of the reasons I created Free Talk Live back when I did, which was 2002, was because I never really heard the kind of robust conversation that I thought should be on the air on talk radio. I always just heard a talk show host opening the phones to only the people that agreed with him, and every now and then letting somebody who is like an easy mark on who disagreed, right? Like somebody who they could easily dominate, they could easily destroy their arguments, that kind of thing. It never really felt intellectually honest. It never felt well-rounded. And so I wanted a show that would let anybody call in, which isn't a unique idea. I mean, there have been people who've done open phones hours and open phones in the past, but we would do open phones all the time, no matter what the fact that, the talk radio experts say you're not supposed to do that. We would do that. And we'd come at things from a libertarian perspective, which was, pretty much unheard of anywhere at that time, and still pretty much unheard of anywhere at this time. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number here. We got time for you if you want to jump in. We'll talk about maybe the black market I don't know if we can fit it in, but we'll see what we can do. Maybe. It's coming up on Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
How well and how fast does Heart and Body Extract work to improve blood circulation? Listen.
My name is Ellis, and I am 66 years old, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed as having clogged arteries. I had 70% blockage in one artery leading to my heart. They wanted me to go on Plavix, but I refused, knowing the negative side effects.
Heart and Body Extract is a unique balance, synergy, and proportion of herbs reaching from head to toe at maximum absorption around 95% at the cellular level.
Within the first month, I felt a dramatic difference. The heaviness in my legs was reduced, and within 2 months, I felt completely normal.
Your natural organic herbal formula for heart health is Heart and Body Extract. Heart and Body Extract comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract. Call 866-295-5305, 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for lrn.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to lrn.fm. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free. Join us, bring up anything you want here. The number's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And don't forget, you can join us online. Head over to freetalklive.com. We got the AMP program. It is a way for you to get behind Free Talk Live, and you can support what we do here. If you appreciate the fact that we're spreading the message of peace and liberty and cryptocurrency and freedom here every single night, 7 nights a week on Free Talk Live, and you want to hear us on more radio stations, maybe you want more people on the internet listening to the program and hearing about these ideas, then please join the AMP program. We actually only have just under 200 Free Talk Live amplifiers after more than a decade of doing this. And we've actually had more than 1,000 over that decade. I think more than 1,200 over that decade of the AMP program. But people come and go for different reasons. And it'd be great to have you on board. So don't think that somebody else is going to do it. You've got to do it. If you really like the show and you really appreciate what we do and you want to help us do more of it and get on the program, get the program on various other places. Like, for instance, I just looked into advertising the show on Penn Jillette's podcast. And it took them like a month to get back, but they actually got back to me today.
Nice.
Let's just say we can't afford it. So it was like more than twice what I said our budget could possibly be. So we're not out of the range of being able to afford it. In theory, we could if we had enough people supporting the show, but at this point, we can't. So we're going to be actually sponsoring Roger Paxton's podcast, though.
Yes.
Coming up in July, and I'm very excited about that. So we're doing some internet-based advertising now for the first time in quite a while, where the idea was, well, let's advertise on some of the other good libertarian talk shows. Maybe some people there don't actually know about us,
right,
or need to be reminded that we exist. So if you want to help us with the AMP program, you'll get some cool perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group. There's the AMP-only chat rooms on the Discord. There's also other AMP perks that you can go get the full list over at amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. You can use your credit card. You can use PayPal. You can use Bitcoin over at amp.freetalklive.com. As we continue here, Darryl, you had a story about the black market in Washington State.
Yes, I did. And, we were talking about the cannabis legalization thing down in Uruguay and the thriving black market there. And let me see if there's, black market, Washington, cannabis. Story from NPR from about a month ago. 5 years into its experiment with legal regulated cannabis, Washington State is finding that pot still attracts criminals. Okanogan County Chief Criminal Deputy Steve Brown helped raid a farm last fall. What was striking, he says, is how brazen it was. Located just off the side of a road within sight of the neighbors. Before legalization, an operation like this would have been hidden up in the hills. He says, now it's just out in the open because everywhere you drive in this county, you see fencing, and everybody just assumes it's another legal grow. This particular grow was just a few hundred feet from a licensed state-regulated pot farm.
Gee, I wonder who turned them in.
Brown says the growers were trying to blend in. They acted like it was legal. He says they even tried to fool the tax assessors, filing to pay the agricultural property tax at the rate for licensed cannabis growers. After an investigation, it turned out that the growers were part of a network with connections to California and Thailand. Those people had purchased 6 properties in the area. they were growing cannabis illegally on 5 of them. Legalization was also supposed to end smuggling, but that hasn't worked out either. Deputy Brown keeps track of the people from this area who've been arrested transporting big loads of marijuana through other states, such as Arkansas and Wyoming. At least one of them had ties to a licensed marijuana store in the Okanogan region. The reason is simple.
Meaning they're growing it in Washington, traveling out from there and getting busted in other states. That's what he's keeping track of.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
He says the reason is simple. Economics.
Sure.
Overproduction in Washington and other states with legal pot, such as Oregon, has led to a market glut and rock-bottom wholesale prices in the legal market.
And that has affected the black market. It absolutely has. Cannabis is cheaper now than it's ever been in the black market in my lifetime.
Jeremy Moberg runs a licensed outdoor marijuana farm in the area called Cannasol. He says you're going to get maybe $1,500 a pound tops, and a lot of people in farms around here are going to be lucky to get $250 a pound.
Wow. Back 20 years ago, for the kind of weed that they're getting $1,500 a pound for or less, it would have gone for like $5,000.
Yeah. He says in states where marijuana is still illegal, the same product would easily fetch 3 or 4 times that price.
There you go.
That's a powerful temptation for licensed farmers who aren't covering production costs right now. He says for those that just are totally underwater and have lost a lot of their money, it's a huge incentive to think that they could divert legally grown pot into the black market. He says, but he personally would not take the risk.
Oh, no. Of course not.
He says, I have a strong enough fear for prison and enforcement to
that's what it's all about.
Not think about that too much.
There you go. Prison is the problem here. The reason why, the marketplace is behaving the way it is because people are under threat of violence from the state. And it's sad that police resources are still being used to go after people growing plants.
A couple of licensed farms nearby have been caught not keeping proper track of their cannabis, and another is accused of using marijuana to pay a contractor. That's a major violation of the state's tracking rules for legally grown cannabis. Steve Moorhead, an enforcement officer for the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board, said, I could see where it's difficult or definitely tempting for someone to take it out of state. He does surprise inspections on licensed growers to make sure that they're keeping all of their cannabis inside the tracking system meant to prevent diversion. He says every plant that is 8 inches or taller needs to have a barcoded tag on it.
My God.
But he acknowledges that the system isn't foolproof, especially if someone decides to set aside a couple of buds from those tagged plants.
Sure.
There's a lot of the honor system going on of how many ounces or how many pounds did you take off these plants. We're trusting that they're giving good information.
Well, right. I mean, how many bureaucrats can they really hire to go around and assess all these plants? They can't, even if they did that, which would be an incredibly, insanely expensive process.
Right.
Even if they did that, like he points out, if somebody goes off and clips off 1/10 of the buds from each plant, you're not going to be able to notice that with an inspector. If you've got hundreds of plants, you clip off 1/10 of the buds from all of those hundreds of plants, you've just gotten, pounds and pounds of marijuana that you can then send out the back door. I just thought of that off the top of my head, and I'm not even a professional grower.
Right.
Right.
And, I'm thinking of other sorts of things that can legally be grown where you don't have all of these weird random inspections. Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Tomato farmers don't have to, every one of your plants, put a barcode on and then keep a track of exactly how many tomatoes come off of every single one of these. And if you're off by a tomato or two, then you go to prison.
Right, because we're going to save the children or something. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just control. That's all this is. It's not about protecting the children. It's not about anything except for we have to be in control because the government, that's what we do, and we would feel impotent if we weren't telling you what to do.
Mark Kleiman, professor of public policy at New York University and is a consultant with some company that consults with the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board, says that this may be the Achilles heel of Washington's marijuana tracking system because the amount of product that a plant produces depends on a lot of different things and it's not constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with tomato plants, fruit trees. An apple tree this year is not going to produce the exact same number of apples next year.
Right.
The tree growing next to it not going to produce the exact same number of apples as another tree.
It's like the government pounding their feet because they can't control absolutely everything about nature.
Yeah. And he says it's certainly possible that someone could ship some out the back door. This matters for many reasons.
Oh, really?
According to NPR here, off-the-books pot feeds the glut, depressing prices further and tempting producers to sell more into the black market tax-free.
Oh.
So this is what it's really all about. It's about taxes. The government getting, quote-unquote, their share.
Yeah. Well, if it moves, tax it, right?
And whether if it stops moving, then subsidize it, and then once it begins to move, you tax it again.
Or if it stops moving completely, then there's the death tax.
Yeah.
Because it never ends, even after you die.
They say still diversion is hard to prove unless investigators are tipped off and know how to check the thousands of hours of surveillance videos that licensed growers are required to keep.
Good Lord.
Illegal grows, however, are easier to catch. The Thai California network operating in Okanagan was not unique, and then they go on to talk about some others.
Kudos to the black market for continuing to feed the demand of the people without asking for permission, and maybe we'll see some state actually not have an insane regulatory structure on top of cannabis, but I'm a dreamer. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment walking down the street to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The Torchwood Report is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, June 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,269 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,369. Antiwar.com reports Iraq's Supreme Court ruled Thursday that Parliament's order for a full manual recount of all 11 million ballots cast in the May 12th election must go forward. The Electoral Commission had contested this, saying a nationwide recount was not needed. The court did, however, reject a secondary Parliament order that all ballots cast by overseas voters, as well as all ballots cast by internally displaced persons, be thrown out, saying that would be unconstitutional. Some members of Parliament had claimed these ballots were particularly vulnerable to fraud. This part of the ruling is very good for Iraq's Sunni Arab minority, as they are the most heavily displaced population within Iraq, and having all those votes thrown out would have cut into their already limited representation in parliament. The recount will further delay the final certification of the vote results, which saw cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's bloc winning the largest plurality. Sadr was in the process of trying to come up with a majority coalition, and now is likely to be stuck waiting for a long, arduous recount, just in case it changes a seat or two somewhere. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Thursday to allow states to force online retailers to collect a sales tax, breaking the 50 years' worth of previous rulings. In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled in favor of the state of South Dakota, which asked the court to uphold a new law imposing an internet sales tax. South Dakota argued that an explosion in online sales changed the market and passed a law 2 years ago requiring all but the smallest retailers to collect tax on sales they made in the state, even if they have no physical presence there. Internet companies argued applying a sales tax would be a daunting task, as local tax laws vary widely by state. Justice Anthony Kennedy, writing for the majority, was joined by Justices Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. Kennedy argued physical businesses were put at a disadvantage because they were forced to charge a sales tax while online businesses did not, noting the rule prevented market participants from competing on an even playing field. Kennedy wrote, "Each year, the physical presence rule becomes further removed from economic reality and results in significant revenue losses to the states." Chief Justice John Roberts, writing in dissent with Justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, said the decision disregards the cost a sales tax would impose on online retailers, a process that could be baffling for internet sellers. Roberts wrote, "The burden will fall disproportionately on small businesses. One vitalizing effect of the internet has been connecting small, even micro businesses to potential buyers across the nation." Adding, "People starting a business selling their embroidered pillowcases or carved decoys can offer their wares throughout the country, but probably not if they have to figure out the tax due on every sale." Roberts said the decision should be left to Congress, as they have more flexibility to address the issue. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports First Lady Melania Trump's visit on Thursday to a Texas shelter housing migrant children separated from their parents was overshadowed by a jacket she wore with the words, "I really don't care. Do you?" scrawled in white brushstrokes on the back. Melania Trump was shown in photos wearing the hooded green khaki jacket as she boarded a flight from Andrews Air Force Base to the border facility in McAllen, Texas. She had it on again when she left the aircraft upon returning to Washington, D.C. later in the evening. Stephanie Grisham, Melania Trump's spokeswoman, told reporters, "It's a jacket. There was no hidden message." Defending his wife's choice of jacket, Trump blamed the media, tweeting, "I really don't care, do you?" written on the back of Melania's jacket refers to the fake news media. Melania has learned how dishonest they are, and she truly no longer cares. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
From that romantic summer evening in 1924 when Pol Pot was conceived, to the first time someone figured out how to eat a pineapple without ripping their mouth to shreds. This week in history, 1692, 5 citizens were executed after being convicted during the Salem witch trials, all while dozens of witches, warlocks, and sorcerers stood by and watched the wrongly accused take the rap for them, while the perfectly normal humans charged with witchcraft were publicly hung and dragged to their unmarked graves. The numerous Salem citizens that did spend their evenings casting spells and awakening the dead merely lowered their heads as their friends and neighbors were burned at the stake.
Historical records have indicated that as many as 35% of the people in Salem were actually witches and warlocks. In fact, the executioner himself was a well-known necromancer who who, after hanging the wrongly accused witches, reanimated their dead bodies and apologized before casting them into the eternal fires of hell.
This is the Onion News Network.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Torchwood Report. I am Matthew Taylor, along with the one true Niz. Today is June 22nd, 2018, and guys, I cannot even sit down. I am so excited to get into everything we've got in store for you tonight. But before I do, I'm going to kick it over to Niz, who's got our weekly announcement.
This broadcast is covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. That means that you are free to use or rebroadcast portions or segments of this show so long as you are not an agent or advocate for government. If you fail to heed this warning, you will be socially shamed. For more information, please visit bipcot.org. That's BIPCOT.org.
Dude, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Because we were going to touch on this topic no matter what coming into the show, and the topic that I'm talking about is obviously what's been going on with immigration over the last week.
The kids in cages.
Right.
Let's just be frank about this. Yeah. The kids in cages.
Kids in cages. That's where we're going. But I mean, not only did we have gold in store, but even just sitting back and taking a few moments right before coming on just to check to see if anything had broken or anything new had happened. I mean, we both stumble across gold. So let me tell you, we have a lot to talk about when we're coming into this. And obviously, the first place to start is any straight update has to start with the fact that Donald Trump signs this executive order basically saying that people can or these families can stay together. And you know what? I expected that if this were to happen, you would have the left, celebrations in the street. It would be a time to party, because this is everything that they have hoped for, and all I have seen is vile disdain from the left about this.
It's not about kids. It's not about kids.
Right?
It's about power. It's not about kids. It's about power. They don't give a crap about kids. They didn't care about none of this stuff when it was going on with Obama. Obama did it.
Right?
Nobody cared. Nobody was losing their marbles. Everybody was too busy, admiring Mr. Obama in the media, on the news, no matter what it was. Crazy.
So my question to you, Nis, is what is the best or the most ridiculous argument, rather, that you have seen for why somebody is angry about Donald Trump signing this executive order?
It's insane that anyone would be angry about this. Why? I can't even wrap my head around why are they angry?
Okay, so the first one that I saw is the fact that the way that that everything is written, has it set up to where the detainment period does not have a set length